They won the game 16-15.
Any idea how many more games you're going to be able to attend?
A couple hundred, I hope.
All right, Dick, thanks for
sticking. Hard.
All right. We got this one to stick through, guys. Let's send it back to you upstairs.
Mike Deverly, thank you very much. 62 degrees on the field with the sun where Mike is. Where we are on the west side in the shade, it's a little cooler than that. No question. I think we're going to be keeping on our jackets the whole game. Dick Coffey, speaking of him, he saw you play
500. Wait a minute.
Saw Ricky Davis, but not putting any age on you there. Dick Coffey.
One time before we were.
A fine Alabama football fan. Indeed, a glorious afternoon for football and an important game. We've already talked about it, but both teams still in line for a bowl bid.
Well, Alabama, we all know, has a chance at a bowl game, figuring if they can beat LSU, they should beat Cincinnati. That would give them 6 wins despite what happens in Auburn, and would lock them up a bowl game.
Really would, and LSU, as we mentioned earlier in the pregame, this is a real big game for them as well, not only from a bowl standpoint, but also from Mike Archer's job security.
Okay, we're getting ready now for the opening coin toss. There you see the LSU captains. Gene Stallings, by the way, named permanent captains this week. Gary Hollingsworth, Philip Doyle are among the captains who will put the handprint
and
in the Hall of Fame.
In the concrete, Denny Chimes.
Your print's over there, isn't it? Your print's in the concrete over there, isn't it,
Ricky,
Scott?
are you a captain?
Yeah, I was.
All right, you're in the handprints over there.
So you know what we're talking about. There's the series right now. The Tide leads 54-14-5. The last meeting last year in Baton Rouge, 32-16, went to the Tide. In that ball game, Saran Stacy had that incredible run. Remember that, really a glorious game for Alabama as they clinched a tie for the Southeastern Conference last year in Baton Rouge. This year in Tuscaloosa, a different story. In fact, Ricky and I were talking about this before the game, Scott. A series that hasn't really favored the home team in at least the last 9 years. 0-8-1, the home team's record the last 9 years.
Strange enough, I think the last time Alabama won at home, I was still playing professional football. We had a Monday night football game, so I said, I'm just going to go over to the game and see it. Well, it was 1980. I never would have thought at that time that Alabama, that would be their last home win versus LSU.
Here come the Tigers. They've won 4 straight over the Tide by a total of 17 points. 19-18 in 1988 was the last meeting. There's Ephraim Thomas, Philip Doyle, Gary Hollingsworth, the permanent captains from here on out for the Crimson Tide. Gene Stallings announced that just this week. Speaking of Coach Stallings, he has a career record against LSU of 1-5-1. In his very first game back in 1965 with Texas A&M, he lost to the Tigers 10-0. So that doesn't bode too well for Coach Stallings, but that's in the past. Those were the days gone by.
History doesn't count in football. It's what do you do for me today?
Well, there's a good look at the LSU captains. Saul Graves is the senior quarterback, the 5th-year senior, and according to Scott, he learned that Graves will get the start today at quarterback.
John Mitchell, the LSU defensive coordinator, was telling me on the sideline, of course, he was a great Alabama player, 71 and 72, All-American linebacker, and told me that Saul Graves would start, but that did not preclude Mike Archer from getting the other quarterbacks into the game, which he would if he didn't feel like that Saul Graves had a hot hand.
All right, there was the coin toss. LSU elected to defer until the second half. It does seem that way. Alabama will receive the opening kickoff. LSU won the toss but decided to defer until the second half, so they'll kick it off as we get ready for this football game.
The North Globe.
The key in this football game, as has been the case the last few weeks, the defense for Alabama. They're sensational, and the Tide will be depending on them to come through again today.
It really will. The defense has done a great job the last 4 or 5 weeks in not giving up any big plays, and that's one thing about Coach Oliver and his defensive philosophy. They want to make the offense earn it, take the ball, drive 50, 60, 70, 80 yards. They're not going to give up the big play. They've also started to work in some big plays on defense with quarterback sacks, as we talked about earlier. They're leading the SEC in sacks. Just a tremendous job by the defensive coaches this year in putting together a great defense from what a lot of people thought at the beginning of the season was going to be a very suspect defense.
Rick, you have information on Eric Curry?
I think Curry is going to play. He's worked this week. He probably could have played a little bit the last couple of weeks, but I don't think they wanted to put him in and risk it. But I expect we'll see a lot of Eric Curry today. You know, he's leading the Alabama defense in quarterback sacks this year with 5.
Eric Curry has 5 sacks, George Thornton 4, Robert Stewart 3. As a unit, the defense leads the Southeastern Conference with 23 quarterback sacks. They love to put pressure on the passer, so that will be a problem for Saul Graves, Chad Loop, or whoever may play a quarterback today for the Tigers. Right now, that's still up in the air. Kicking off for the Tigers, Pedro Suarez, the sophomore from Hialeah, Florida, a little guy who has a potent foot. And here we go. Deep into the end zone, a few yards back goes Robert Jones, and he downs it, and Alabama will take over 1st and 10 from the 20. Derek Lassick is healthy for the Crimson Tide. We'll see if he comes out. He had turf toe last week, did not play, but he is healthy again. Chris Anderson coming off a 100-yard performance, 106 yards to be exact, for the Tide last week against Mississippi State. Gary Hollingsworth's numbers for the season, a little less than par. When you're below 50%, Scott, not the best of situations.
Not where you want to be. Gary has to have a big day, I think, to beat LSU throwing the ball.
Chris Anderson is nestled behind him in that single back formation, and he takes the pitch from Gary Hollingsworth, and he's brought down for a 2-yard gain. Good defense by LSU. Making the tackle, linebacker Mike Hewitt. Gain of 2. 2nd and 8 as you look at the offensive line. Matt Hammond, Chris Robinette is not starting. Of course, he's not dressed out after suffering the collapsed lung last week against Mississippi State. He's replaced by George Wilson. Roger Schultz, the old standby at center. Lassick in the backfield, but Chris Anderson got the start. Hollingsworth, Turner, Buskey, and Finley on the outside. Again, the handoff to Chris Anderson, who gets brought down maybe for a loss of a yard. LSU's defense looks pretty tough so far. Wharton on the stop. Scott Wharton, the junior, nose guard from Baton Rouge. So far, so good for the LSU defense. As you look at their lineup, Leonard Harris, Scott Wharton, and Mark Boutte. Boutte is their sack leader with 4.
Alabama's first possession down.
There's the linebackers, Sendoya, Soares, Walkup, and Swan. Rovell Rose Swan, unusual first name. Hollingsworth back to pass. 3rd and 8. The screen to Kevin Turner, and he's knocked out of bounds short of the first down. On comes Tank Williamson, the Alabama punter.
LSU mirroring what Penn State was doing here just a couple of so weeks ago. That is playing double-double in the secondary. They come up tight on the wide receivers, play with 2 safeties back, deep halves, and really just cut off the Alabama wide game. Alabama has got to get some production out of the wide receivers today if they're going to complete some passes in the 3rd, 8s, 3rd, and 9s.
From the 27, 4th and 3. Tank Williamson back to punt. Lately, he's been punting the ball well. Not a bad punt. Fielded on the 35-yard line. LSU brought down immediately. So what we have so far, quite a nice defensive stand by LSU. They have given up a lot of yards rushing this season, Ricky, but on that first possession, they look pretty tough.
Good possession by LSU's defense. Alabama, as Scott said, Alabama's going to have to throw the ball today, but with LSU's defense giving up so much rushing yardage, Alabama also needs to establish a rushing game on offense.
Saul Graves, the senior, the 5th-year senior from Monroe, Louisiana, gets the start, and he's back to pass on 1st down, complete over the middle to the freshman tight end Harold Bishop from Tuscaloosa. 6'6", 240 pounds, quite a specimen. Bishop excited to play in front of the home folks.
And his father, I believe, is an instructor at the University of Alabama.
There's the offensive line. In the pregame show, you heard Ricky mention Blake Miller. He's the All-American candidate that really anchors that offensive line. Saul Graves at quarterback, Harvey Williams, you've heard all about him. Marcus Carter, the speedster. Slip Watkins will fill in for Todd Kinchin, who's out with that shoulder ailment. And speaking of Harvey Williams, he's brought down for no gain by the Alabama defense.
Good penetration that time by the right side of the Alabama defensive line. Byron Holbrooks, number 79, came through, forced the runner outside. Spencer Hammond came up for the nice play.
There's the starting front three for Alabama, Thornton, Stewart, and Curry, and those guys are awful tough. Webb, Sullins, the leading tackler on the team. Oden, 2nd in tackles. Spencer Hammond, the senior. Teague, McMillan, Harrison, and Thomas make a formidable defensive secondary for the Tide. 3rd and 5. The defense loves this situation. 12-12 on the clock. And it looks like they had Alabama jumping. Graves a free down, and he completes the pass. completes the pass to Marcus Carter. It will be an LSU first down.
And Ricky, I think Eric Curry just made his first appearance.
He did. We see they're going to be alternating. Mike Dubose, the defensive line coach for Alabama, alternates those front three. Alabama, as everybody knows, runs a three-man front. That time they put Eric Curry in. Byron Holbrooks is back in now, number 79.
Alabama rushing 4 on that third down.
A lot of times what Alabama will do in the long yardage 3rd and 5, they'll put in a couple of extra defensive backs, take linebackers out and put in an extra defensive lineman, go to a 4-man front with 1 linebacker and the rest defensive backs.
There's Mike Archer. He is on the hot seat, a record of 26-16-1. You wouldn't think so in 4 years, but at LSU, where football is king, he's on the hot seat. Another completed pass, knocked out of bounds, a gain of about 8. Nifty pass from Saul Graves to Jermaine Williams. Williams, a freshman from Donaldsville, Louisiana. A lot of young players on this LSU team.
They really are. As you look through their depth chart, they've got a lot of freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores. They start only a couple of seniors. Here we'll see Saul Graves going back to pass, gets it out to his back, slipping out in the flat. Spencer Hammond coming out from his linebacker position to make the tackle, but not before a nice gain.
Here we are, second and 10. Or no, 2nd and 2, I'm sorry. And flags down everywhere as the handoff goes up the middle. Again, that is Jermaine Williams. I got caught looking at the scoreboard that said 2nd and 10. Of course, it couldn't have been with the gain on first down.
Saul Graves doing a good job with his cadence, Scott. The last 2 times that they've been in 2nd short or 3rd and short, he's gone to a long count, probably changing his voice. He's gotten Alabama's defensive line to jump off sides.
Must be that Cajun.
That's right.
Saul Graves, a big kid, 6'5", 194 pounds. Byron Holbrooks gets caught on the cadence you were mentioning there, Ricky. Graves played behind Tommy Hodson for 4 years. He's a good player, just never got the opportunity behind the All-American. He's back to pass. Nope, it's the draw to Harvey Williams, who gets up for a gain of 3 or 4. McMillan in on the stop. McMillan, the junior college transfer from Los Angeles, has been playing quite a bit ever since the Southwestern Louisiana game, and he's been quite effective.
He really has. They moved Ephraim Thomas, who was an all-conference cornerback last year, moved him inside to the weak safety position and moved McMillan in. He's been starting at that right cornerback position ever since.
Harvey Williams, fully recovered from knee surgery a couple of years ago. As you can see his statistics, the 2nd leading rusher in the Southeastern Conference. There's the handoff up the middle. Broken tackle and a nice run for Jermaine Williams. Hard-nosed running by Williams, only a freshman.
Doug, one interesting thing for us to look for today, Harvey Williams, anytime he's rushed for 70 yards or more, LSU's record is 10-2. On games when he's gone over 100 yards, they're 6-0. So LSU wants to get the ball into Harvey Williams' hands today. As Coach Archer said, he's their best offensive player.
Harvey Williams, sensational as a freshman and even more sensational as a sophomore till he suffered a terrible knee injury. Back to pass, rolling out is Graves, looking for a receiver and cannot find one, but he does eventually, out of bounds, and the reception. Scott Ray, another freshman with a nice grab.
That was pure Joe Montana, rolling to your right, continuing to roll to his right until somebody came open.
He really did. Just that quarterback showed, Saul Graves showed a lot of patience that time. He got some pressure. We see the man in motion. Graves will roll to his right. Alabama number 84, that's Steve Webb coming up, playing off a blocker, jumps, leaves his feet. Graves gets outside, finds his receiver right at the sideline. Just a great offensive play for LSU.
Graves showing a lot of poise. 1st and 10 from the 16, 9:22 on the clock. The handoff to Harvey Williams, who busts outside, gets free for a first down, or at least close to it, knocked out of bounds by McMillan. I tell you, let's give LSU's offensive line a little credit. They're doing a good job right now.
They really are, and what they're doing is they're sealing off Alabama's linebackers. One thing that Alabama's had a lot of success with this year is the speed and quickness of their linebackers, inside playing from inside out. That time, Alabama's 2 inside linebackers weren't able to get outside, and Harvey Williams turned the corner and got the ball down to the 5-yard line.
First and 5 from the 5. Again, Alabama's defense has not allowed a touchdown in 12 quarters. Graves calls the signals and hands off to Williams, who fumbles the football, and Alabama recovers. Stacey Harrison, the man of the hour right now, and the streak continues at least for now. Watch the play, Ricky.
Watch the penetration. Robert Stewart, Steve Webb, 3 Alabama men in the backfield. Somebody put their hat on the ball. Stacey Harrison from strong safety came up and made the big recovery.
I think it was Eric Curry who got his hand in there and knocked the ball free. There were 3 or 4 Alabama defenders around the ball. We'll give Curry credit, Harrison credit for the recovery. Chris Anderson breaks free, but then is brought down, a gain of maybe 2. The freshman being hassled by that LSU pesky defense here early on, 8:57 on the clock.
Doug, one thing Coach Bill Oliver and the defensive coaches have taken a lot of pride in with this defensive unit is the fact that even though Alabama's 4-4, they're stressing that they're the 5th-rated defense in the country, and they're really using that as a motivating factor for Alabama's defense at this point in the season.
They certainly turned that drive around with that fumble.
2nd and 9 from the 11, a gain of 1. They gave Anderson 1 on that play. Hollingsworth with a call. Turner and blocking for Chris Anderson, who again gets hit hard by LSU. But he falls forward for 5 or 6 yards.
Who hit who? Sometimes we think running backs do nothing but take punishment. That time Chris Anderson got under the tackler, and as Ricky Davis knows, when the back gets under the tackler, it's the back that's going to be putting the stitches on the chins. Check this out, getting that shoulder up under the tackler, and hey Ricky, that won't make all SEC. I like it.
One thing, Chris Anderson, 5'7", 175 pounds. He's not a big guy, but that time he did. He lowered his shoulder.
3rd and 2. The handoff up the middle, and it looks like Alabama has a first down. Their first of the afternoon. Robert Jones, the man they use on short yardage situations, junior from Birmingham Parker High School, gets the first. Robert Jones, Scott, I think has found his role, short yardage.
He has short yardage and goal line offense.
So 1st and 10 from the 22, 7.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Gary with a play action fake.
Lamond
deep. Lamond is open and he cannot hang on. Very close.
Lamond Russell running a post route. There was no weak safety because LSU had a blitz on. Gary picked it up, saw the weak safety flatten off, put some air under the ball, but Lamond stumbled as he came out of his break, and it cost him a step and a half, and thus the ball was a little long. Let's see if we can see Lamond stumbling on it. And just as he came off his break, defender not thinking he would go deep. Just as he came off his break, we didn't catch it there, but he had stumbled just a little bit, thus a step short.
2nd and 10, the handoff to Chris Anderson, who breaks it to the outside and gets brought down a few yards short of the first down. Give him 7 yards. 2 nice runs in a row for the freshman from Huntsville.
Doug, last week against Mississippi State, I really noticed a change in the way that Chris Anderson ran the ball. First couple of games this year, he was trying to take everything outside. Last week against State, he really started to turn upfield, and I think that's making a big difference in his ability to pick up some yardage for the Alabama offense.
He's running north and south.
Right.
Last week, 19 carries, 106 yards for the freshman. The first Alabama back to go over the century mark, and there's a near interception. Gary threw it nearly in the hands of David Walka, the inside linebacker for LSU.
It appeared Gary was thinking that it would be a timing route. As soon as the receiver turned around, the ball would be there, but it just didn't work out. As we all know, timing this year has just not been there in the Alabama passing game.
It was 3rd and short.
Looking, expecting the receiver to look. It's Lamond Russell. He doesn't get off the linebacker, not open.
4th and 4. Tank Williamson, his second punt of the afternoon. Nails it, really good. The fair catch called on the 35-yard line. LSU will take over. Handling that punt was Vincent Fuller. for LSU. Fuller, a sophomore from Leesville, Louisiana. I notice when I'm reading down the LSU roster, everyone talks about Mike Archer being on the hot seat, but boy, he has a lot of young talent. You think the future looks pretty bright for these guys.
It really is a bright future for him, and you think if Mike Archer's not here next year, not at LSU, somebody's going to come in and take over quite a ball team.
No kidding. You'll notice this afternoon as we read off the LSU players, many are freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomore. They've been developing their talent and kind of harboring it down at LSU and doing a good job. Of course, last year, whenever you go 4-7 with the talent they had, the Tommy Hodgsons and people like that, the Boo Birds and the people with negative thoughts all come out of the woodwork.
Well, they had a lot of skill players last year who were high profile but did not have it down in the trenches. That's where they were lacking, and that's where you win football games, as we all know. Consequently, Boo Birds down at LSU got on Mike pretty bad about it, but you can look down the roster and see that there just weren't enough mature, experienced tackles, guards, linebackers, etc.
Good shot of the sidelines there. You saw the cheerleaders standing on natural grass, and pretty soon the entire field will be natural grass. We'll talk with Scott and Ricky about that later and get their thoughts. Here's Saul Graves, back to pass over the middle. Incomplete, batted down by Sullins. Chad Luke now a quarterback for LSU. The change was made. Saul Graves doing a terrific job, and they bring in the freshman Chad Luke.
We had heard before the game that Coach Archer was going to rotate his quarterbacks. We see Chad Luke, 59 completions, 109 attempts, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's a redshirt freshman, young guy with a great future.
I certainly didn't see Saul Graves do anything wrong on that first drive. He took LSU to the 5-yard line before Harvey Williams fumbled.
2nd and 10, and speaking of Harvey Williams, he's brought down a gain of a couple. 6:13 and counting here in the first quarter. The sun is shining. And if you were in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, and Birmingham yesterday, you never would have thought the sun was going to come out. It rained all day yesterday, but the field is dry, and Williams is brought down. Again, that gang tackling has become a characteristic of this Alabama defense. 5th in the country, allowing under 100 yards rushing per game, 94 to be exact. 3rd and 8. The freshman Luke back to pass. And he finds Harvey Williams over the middle. First down, LSU.
Nice wrinkle there by the LSU offensive coaching staff, Ricky, bringing Williams out to the strong side.
It really was one of the extra defensive backs that Alabama puts in. They'll put in 6 defensive backs, 1 linebacker, 4 linemen. That time bringing Williams out of the backfield. He lost the defensive back. We'll see him coming from the right of your screen. He slips past the defensive back up close, gets downfield. Stacey Harrison comes over to make the tackle.
Again, great protection from the LSU offensive line. 1st and 10 from the 49. Harvey Williams pitch left. And he gets close to another first down. So whoever, whether it be Saul Graves or Chad Luke, both quarterbacks have been effective in running this LSU offense.
They really have, and I don't know if we saw it. I don't think we picked it up on the screen, but the wide receiver for LSU coming in on a crackback really took out, I think it was Spencer Hammond, closed off that inside and allowed Williams to turn the corner.
But he was right back on his feet.
He was. That's what they teach you. Get up, don't lay on the ground.
Even if you don't know where you are.
They did give Williams the first down. 1st and 10 from the 34. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Play action fake. And Robert Stewart, no, that's George Thornton, into pressure Luke. And they rule it an incomplete pass.
Gosh, that was close to a fumble. His hand was just coming forward.
Big George, they call him Bump. In the big game in Knoxville, Notre Dame over Tennessee first quarter, 7-3. The Irish, #1 in the country. Georgia Tech, maybe a letdown after Virginia, probably 0-0 third quarter. Iowa, 17-14 over Ohio State. They're headed to the Rose Bowl, and Virginia bouncing back after that loss to Tech to lead North Carolina by 3 touchdowns. 2nd and 10 on the 34. Luke rolls out. He's going to run it. And decides just to go down without sustaining a blow. Nice gain of about 8.
That time number 69, the right tackle for LSU, Andy Martin. he was able to get outside of George Thornton and turn Thornton back inside, and Alabama lost containment. Luke did a good job. He rolled, he looked for a receiver, couldn't find anybody. He had a lot of green grass in front of him, turned it upfield, picked up about 9.5 yards.
They gave him 9, 3rd and 1, 4:21 on the clock. Chad Luke, the redshirt freshman, looking it over. Harvey Williams gets the first down.
Harvey Williams at left guard. Playing 3 yards.
Watch Blake Miller, the All-American candidate, the big kid in the middle. Great surge from the other fellows on the offensive line, and Harvey just goes over the top for the first down.
Harvey Williams, 6'3", 208 pounds. He's the kind of guy that you'd like to be able to send up over the middle.
Alabama loves to keep the 3rd down conversions to a very low percent, but right now, LSU batting 1,000. Incomplete pass. Luke, a little too hard to Darrell Williams.
LSU likes that play where they'll slide that running back. They've been using Darrell Williams, slipping him out into the flat, forcing Spencer Hammond to come up and make the coverage. That time, a ball just a little overthrown, but Williams had a step on Hammonds again.
Let's go down to Mike Dubberly to see what's going on the field.
Guys, I just had an offensive meeting over here on the bench, and they said the LSU defensive line is doing some twists, doing a lot of different things on the defensive line to confuse things. They think they figured them out. If they can just get the ball back, they think they can put it in and drive it down the field and score. Let's send it back upstairs.
Pass from Chad Loop to Darrell Williams.
LSU
It's
coming
now
up
3rd
again.
down.
Yeah, 3rd and long. Keep putting the other team in 3rd and long. Keep defensive guys like that, don't you?
You really do, because it really takes away a lot of options that the offense has. If you have them in 3rd, 5, 3rd and 6 and over, you can really dictate to the offense from a defensive standpoint.
3 minutes to go, 3rd and 10. Luke calling an audible, changing the play at the line of scrimmage, and he's back to pass. Looks like they caught Alabama in a blitz. First down, LSU. The completed pass to Wesley Jacob. Scott, the young man, showed a lot of poise there, changing the play.
He saw the blitz coming. He read it too early. In fact, Alabama's defense, I thought Ricky gave it away a little too early. He called the old standard out cut, which you do on a blitz, because you know you're going to get one-on-one. You know the cornerback will play the inside, take it away, so you run the out cut. The problem with that pass is just completing it. If you can, you've got a first down.
If Mark McMillan slipped down, we may see some guys on this wet AstroTurf lose their footing today.
First and goal from the 9-yard line. A similar situation on the opening drive. Harvey Williams up the middle. Stop for maybe a gain of 1. You have to go back to the Southwestern Louisiana game late in the 4th quarter when the Cajuns scored a touchdown, and that's the last time a team penetrated the end zone against the Tide. 12 quarters.
And 16 quarters, only 1 touchdown.
The key down here is the defensive front. The defensive front to get penetration. That was the key when they forced the fumble on this last drive down.
2nd and 7. Luke back to pass. And the pass is caught by the tight end, Harold Bishop. Thought for a moment Luke was trying to throw it away, but Bishop came into the picture and grabbed it.
We see Robert Stewart. Stewart's going to put some pressure on Chad Luke coming from inside. He breaks away, and Stewart used to play fullback. He's got good speed. A lot of poise there by quarterback, number 16, Chad Luke, able to get the ball out to the big tight end from Tuscaloosa.
Alabama going with 5 defensive backs.
3rd and 7. You can hear the crowd. They want the streak to continue. Harvey Williams stopped. Gain of maybe 2. His forward motion gave him a couple of yards. Here comes the field goal unit.
I think that's a good call by Mike Archer. Alabama coming with the extra defensive backs. You figure that they might catch him in a blitz. Send Williams right up the middle. We see Byron Holbrook's got an arm in there. Alabama crossing up front. I think it's a great call by Mike Archer. Just didn't work that time.
Pedro Suarez attempts the field goal, and it's good. LSU takes the lead, 3-0, 59 seconds to go here in the first quarter.
One thing for us maybe to take a look at as the game goes on is how many yards Harvey Williams is picking up, as we talked about a little earlier. When he hits 100 yards, they're 6-0, and when he picks up 60 or 70 or more, they're 10-2.
Well, the best thing to do to stop Harvey Williams is keep him sitting on the bench.
Sure.
And that falls to the Alabama offense. On this possession, their third possession, they certainly need to get something going.
Florida State leads Cincinnati now in the first quarter. The Bearcats come to Birmingham next week to take on Alabama. Florida State in that game, by the way, a 49.5-point favorite, and they are well on their way to covering the spread. Auburn leads Southern Mississippi in the first quarter 6-0. A couple of field goals there by Von Weil has the Tigers on top. Florida sticking it to Georgia, their rivals. The game in Jacksonville, 24-7. And Michigan at home over the Fighting Illini, 19-3. The Illini lost last week, 56-28 to Iowa, and they're taking it on the chin again today. They have really fallen from grace at one point, number 5 in the nation. Suarez, the kick, again deep into the end zone, and again Robert Jones will kneel down, and Alabama starts on the 20. That last drive, 14 plays, 59 yards. They ate up 5 minutes and 27 seconds. Very impressive.
Just 59 seconds left to play here in the first quarter, and Alabama's offense really not able to get anything going, Scott.
This is the possession.
Chris Anderson and Martin Houston, the running backs. Gary Hollingsworth. Anderson in motion. And Gary will run with the football and get brought down for a gain of a couple.
Last week against Mississippi State, Alabama had a lot of success going with the one-back offense. That time they put Chris Anderson in motion, leaving Martin Houston as a sole running back. So I think Alabama, again, trying to go back to that one-back offense, putting one of the other offensive backs in motion to try to pull a linebacker out and clear some things up for the running game.
There's the scoring drive. We told you ate up over 5 minutes, and there's 20 seconds to go now in the first quarter. LSU has controlled the ball most of this first quarter. The pitch to Chris Anderson. And he's brought down quickly. A gain of a couple brought down by number 23, Wayne Williams. And the first quarter is winding down, and it is now in the books. LSU leads 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. So far, if you're an LSU fan, you have to be semi-pleased with what's transpired so far.
I think so. They've really dominated the game up through the first quarter. Their offense able to take the ball on both occasions that they've had it and drive down. The first drive stopped by a fumble. Second drive, they get 3 points. So the Alabama defense, which I'm sure that the LSU offensive players have been hearing a lot about this week in meetings and practice, not able so far to shut down this LSU offense.
Well, I think the key thing in the first quarter was LSU had the ball almost the entire quarter inside Alabama territory, and you look at the scoreboard, and it's only 3-0 LSU. It's not 14-0, which it could be.
We'll be back in just a moment. LSU leads 3-0. 3rd and 3 from the 27. Gary Hollingsworth again with Martin Houston and Chris Anderson behind him. Gets set. Gary, the little shuttle pass to Robert Jones, who gets up and close to a first down. He does get the first down. That was Robert Jones in there, not Chris Anderson, and Robert took the shuttle pass.
I like that. Very good imagination on that 3rd and 3. Look at Robert, started in motion to his left, came back to his right. Gary rolling out on the little shuttle pass, left-handed like Kenny Stabler did in his good days here. Robert doesn't refuse to hit anybody. He takes on 2 LSU defenders, cuts between them, and makes another 2 or 3.
Would I be correct in saying the shuttle pass has been a staple in the Alabama system for many, many years?
Since when? It's called a Utah pass or shuttle pass, your choice.
Gary Hollingsworth back to pass now on first down. He has a little bit of time, and he overthrows Robert Jones.
Ball looked like it was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Incomplete. Intended for Joe.
2nd and 10 now from the 36.
Alabama continuing to throw the ball, or attempt to throw the ball on first down, but their wide receivers, Lamont Russell, Donnie Finkley, Kevin Lee, continuing to have trouble getting off the LSU cornerbacks. Maybe there's a mismatch in the quickness there.
There's Gary's stats, 2 of 5. He now needs 67 completions to go by my partner on the right, Scott Hunter, on Alabama's all-time completion list. 67 passes in 3 games now. It's possible. Gary back to pass, trying to get closer right now, and he's going to run with the ball, and he's brought down quickly. Rovelro Swan. I was wondering when I would have to say that. Rovelro Swan, R-O-O-V-E-L-R-O-E. That's his first name. Unusual to say the least.
I asked the LSU Sports Information Department, I asked 3 guys how to pronounce that name, and all 3 gave me different pronunciations. You're on your own, Doug.
Swan, again, he's just a freshman. The young man who made the tackle, 6'3", 210-pound freshman from Shreveport.
LSU's defensive secondary doing a tremendous job not allowing Gary Hollingsworth to find an open receiver.
3rd and 7 from the 39. Gary gets sacked, brought down for a loss.
Once again, nobody getting open downfield. Looking at the Alabama receivers in the secondary, every one of them had a white jersey and a gold pant hanging on them. Some criticism of the offensive line, you might say at this time, but that's not the case at all. Gary got set up and had some time, but nobody was getting even to start getting open downfield.
Tank Williamson, his 3rd punt of the afternoon. So far, he's averaging 38 yards on each punt. And this one taken on the 32-yard line by LSU and brought down. Jermaine Williams.
4 yards.
Check that. Vincent Fuller on the punt return. Let's go down to Mike Dubberly.
Guys, we have some special guests who will be watching a tape-delayed version of this Alabama football game. Linda and Morgan Murphy's son is on the USS Iwo Jima, the ship that suffered an explosion and 10 casualties in the Persian Gulf. They'll be getting a tape of this game at 2 a.m. in the morning. Let's hope they have a good ending. We'll send it back to you.
12:58 on the clock. 1st and 10 for LSU. And back at quarterback is Saul Graves. Mike Archer makes another switch, and Graves goes down. Byron Holbrooks the sack. Ricky, talk about Holbrooks, a young man who in the last 4 or 5 games is playing the best football of his career.
He really has. Byron's been down here. He's a senior. We see him. Byron can play any of the 3 positions up front. This time he just comes up through the middle, puts some pressure on Saul Graves, gets him around the waist, throws him down. That's Byron's 2nd sack of the season for the SEC leading sack team, the Alabama defense.
There you see it. 23 sacks, make it 24. And the play action fake, the reverse. Oh my, Saul Graves nailed in the fumble. They call it an incomplete pass. Alabama snuffed out the reverse, and Holbrooks stayed home.
He really did. That time Byron Holbrooks, it's going to be a fake reverse. Graves wants to throw. He's looking downfield. Holbrooks wasn't fooled by it. Really puts a good hit, and we'll leave that one to the officials.
I'm sorry to say that's a fumble all the way, and if it's not a fumble, it's a penalty because the LSU offensive lineman was the first player to touch the ball if it was a pass. And if it wasn't, it was a fumble. What was it?
I think you're right, Scott, but unfortunately, we don't have the striped shirts on up here.
Has not been the same since Gordon Pettis retired.
Unfortunately, no replay booth. They'd thrown that upstairs. I think the replay would have shown it.
All right,
Speaking
check
of the
it
replay.
out, folks. Is it a fumble? Is it a pass? You call it.
Oh, my.
Well, the fans here in Tuscaloosa didn't like it, whatever it was.
The only person he could have possibly thrown to was number 69, Andy Martin, his offensive guard. Graves again has trouble and chalk up another sack for the Tide sack exchange. Eric Curry gets his 6th of the year.
Ricky, did I see that right, or was Eric Curry in the backfield before the ball was snapped?
He was. I think Graves had trouble getting away from center that time. Curry whipped his man, got in. Also had some help from number 73, Jeremy Nunley.
Looked like he beat Graves back there.
Byron Holbrooks really clogged up things in the middle too, and took Blake Miller and 2 other linemen out of the picture, which opened things up. Chris Anderson deep for the punt. And a good kick sends Anderson all the way back to the 24-yard line. Trying to get to his wall, and he does. Breaking it free, cutting back. All the way down to the 47-yard line, Chris Anderson.
You know, we go all the way back to the Southern Mississippi game. The first game we did on video seat, Chris Anderson had a punt return for a touchdown that was called back as a result of a penalty. This time, Alabama looks like they're setting the return up to the far sideline. Just a great punt by LSU. Anderson does a good job of making the catch. He gets to the corner, one big block there. I believe it was Eric Washington. Turns it upfield. Alabama's got good field position.
1st and 10 from the 48. The pitch to Robert Jones. Robert looking for room to roam, and he gets up a gain of 3 or 4.
Good block by Lamont Russell, but unfortunately he's going off the field. If our cameraman can get a shot of him, Lamont Russell leaving the field limping right now.
It looked like what he did, Scott, is he was rolling at the defensive back's legs, and he may have been kicked that time.
Lamont has had some ankle problems all season.
2nd and 6 from the 44. 10:42 on the clock. LSU leads 3-0. Buskey in motion. And the handoff up the middle to Kevin Turner, who bulls forward for a couple.
Kevin Turner, at center. 4 yards.
It'll be 3rd and 1.
That time running behind Roger Schultz and George Wilson. George starting in the place of Chris Robinette, who had the collapsed lung last week over in Starkville. George Wilson, just a tremendous success story. As everyone knows, he shot off a part of his foot, and people never thought he'd play football again.
But here he is blocking now for Robert Jones as the pitch goes to George's side, and Robert gets the first down. He's fired up and trying to get the crowd fired up, but they are fired up.
Robert Jones just punished Roy Adams, the LSU cornerback out there. Ouch! He is a load. Check this out. Pitch to Robert Jones on 3rd and 1. Good surge by the Alabama offensive line, and also a nice seal block on the outside. You got Mark Dutay out there chasing, and Robert lowered that shoulder, and as we talked about earlier, put some punishment on the LSU tackler.
Chris Anderson, the pitch right. It was 1st and 10 from the 35. Give him 2. Chris Anderson and Robert Jones are interchanging every other play. Sometimes they stay in for 2 plays, but then they come in and out.
Football is a lot like a boxing match. You keep lowering that shoulder on those defensive backs the size of Ricky Davis, and in the 4th quarter, they get a little tear in their eye, and they don't come up as quick.
Come on now, Scott.
2nd and 7 from the 33. He gained 3. And another handoff to Chris Anderson, who runs right up the middle. And he's tripped up by Mike Hewitt of LSU. Around the country, Virginia has beaten North Carolina 24-10. The Cavaliers come back after the loss to Georgia Tech. Florida State up 42-7. Again, they were 49.5-point favorites. It's only the 2nd quarter. Auburn now leads Southern Miss 12-0. The Tigers always seem to have the Golden Eagles number. Florida.
And I see Lamont Russell back in the game again too, Brad.
Florida punishing Georgia in Jacksonville 38-7. Anderson, the pitch right. And it looks like he's going to go in for the touchdown. Yes, indeed. Alabama has a lead 6-3 on the run by Chris Anderson of 30 yards.
Let's give the credit on that run to Trent Patterson and Terrell Chapman. Look at them out in front. Look at the blocks they put on the LSU defenders. The best thing about those blocks, they didn't leave their feet and just dive. They stayed on their feet and gave Chris Anderson a place to go by shield blocking and knocking somebody out of the way rather than just diving at them. That truly was a touchdown scored by Terrell Chapman and Trent Patterson, the offensive lineman. Chris just had to run it in.
Philip Doyle makes it 7-3. Talk about acceleration. Chris Anderson, when he puts it in 5th gear, he's gone.
He really is. A great punt return by Anderson, and then he caps it off with a 30-yard touchdown run. Just to get back a little bit to what you said, Scott, about Chapman and Patterson, you know, here's Terrell Chapman, 6'4", 301 pounds, and being able to turn the corner like that and make a key block, just a tremendous offensive effort from the line.
Well, the key when you pull like this is never leave your feet. Don't go out and dive. Stay on your feet. Stay in the guy's face. Stay in his numbers, and give the back somewhere to go. Give him an option to run off of, which is what Chris Anderson did that time, and consequently had the speed to turn it into a touchdown.
Well, the atmosphere here at Bryant-Denny Stadium compared to the last game here, the Penn State game, shall we mention that? The 9-0 loss to the Nittany Lions, when the crowd was just silent except for the few hundred that showed up for Penn State. But today the place is really electric. It's loud here.
Well, Alabama's offense showed improvement last week over in Starkville. They were able to run the ball, which I really think Alabama needs to be able to do. LSU's rushing defense is not the best in the conference, and Alabama that time, a good drive, good effort by the offensive line.
You saw the crowd. They are pumped up. Philip Doyle kicks it down to the 3-yard line, and it's fumbled a bit by Odell Beckham, who recovers nicely and eventually is brought down at about the 14-yard line by Eric Washington of Alabama. The scoring drive for Alabama, 6 plays, 48 yards. It took under 3 minutes. The big play, the 30-yard scamper by Chris Anderson, with credit definitely to Terrell Chapman and company, who did a terrific job blocking.
They really did, and a big, looking back at big third down run by Robert Jones, running over the defensive back to pick up a first down.
Chad Luke now back at quarterback. Every other series, Mike Archer has switched his QB. This is Luke, the freshman. The pitch to Harvey Williams, and he's bottled up and thrown for a loss, a 2-yard loss.
Ricky, the thing I like about the Alabama defense on the pitch sweeps is I don't see anybody running out of control and running, falling down.
This is a team defense, as we've talked about a lot. Alabama doesn't have that one dominating linebacker as they've had in the past. And so what they teach is you've got to stay in your area. You've got to control your particular area. That time, Alabama's just been getting tremendous effort all across the ball on defense, and you'll see 7, 8 red jerseys after the ball.
2nd and 13 from the 12. Luke back to pass, and it's complete. Close to a first down. Complete to Wesley Jacob. Luke to Jacob. It depends where the mark is. It looks like he'll be 1 or 2 yards short.
That time, good protection by the LSU offensive line, and Luke stood back in there, found his open receiver, and delivered the ball as a nice offensive play. Alabama caught in a zone defense that time, and the receiver just came into that area between the linebackers and the defensive back.
3rd and 3 from the 22. Luke back to pass. And he's sacked. George Thornton bumps him to the turf. The 3rd sack of the game for the Crimson Tide.
You know, George Thornton hadn't been the same player since Tennessee. He had a great game against Tennessee and their good offensive line. Mike Dubose, who coaches the defensive line, said he told George before that game that he could really impress some people if he went out against Tennessee and had a big game. He did it, and he's been playing great ever since.
Let's give some credit to that secondary. There was nowhere to throw to, nowhere downfield.
Brian Griffith, his 2nd punt of the afternoon. The last one was a good one, but Anderson ran it back. Jeff Mitchell now calls for the fair catch at the 33. Jeff Marshall called him Mitchell. It's Jeff Marshall. 6:09 to play here in the 2nd quarter. Let's go down to Mike Dubberly.
Guys, if you notice, Spencer Hammond has not been in the game. He's been on the sideline. They've been working on him. He's had some back cramps and some leg cramps, but he says he'll be okay. He should be back in the game shortly. Let's go back up to you.
Gary Hollingsworth will work from his 33-yard line, 1st and 10. Big Al getting in position for what he hopes is another touchdown run by Chris Anderson. Robert Jones in there now, and he gets caught quickly at the line of scrimmage, falls forward for a couple. Good shot of William Barger there, number 62, a freshman lineman for Alabama. getting playing time now because Chris Robinette is injured with a collapsed lung. You heard Ricky and Scott mention that earlier. He and George Wilson will platoon on that left side. Hollingsworth, quick count to Robert Jones again, who's brought down quickly. Gain of 3.
Jones at the guard. The 4 yards.
They gave him 4.
Second tackle.
Third and 4 it will be from the 39. 5:15 and counting.
Looking at the clock with only 5 minutes to play in the first half, both teams content to run the ball. This first half flying by.
Martin Houston lining up behind Hollingsworth.
Blitz.
And it's a first down. Steve Buskey, who always seems to catch at least one pass every game, gets the first down.
Gary recognized the blitz on this. I don't think he went with the audible because he knew he had the right play already called. He had the tight end, what we call a drag route. In football, that's a tight end goes down and comes off the strong safety to the outside. Gary, you think you might have thrown a bad pass here, but not the case at all. You throw the ball down low and away, only the tight end catches it, which is the case that time. Buskey, 8 receptions this year. His 8th that last play.
First and 10 from the 46. Martin Houston up the middle, hammering his way forward for a gain of 4. Martin Houston, by the way, leads the conference with an average of 6.4 yards a carry. Every time he has his hands on the ball, that man gains yardage, and looking at him, you can tell why.
That's right, he's 5'11", 232 pounds, and he's got quick feet. The coaches say he's got happy feet, he can get up through the line in a hurry.
2nd and 5, they gave him 5. And as Ricky alluded to earlier, this half is flying by. 4 minutes to play now in the second quarter. Hand off to Lassick. Derek Lassick, his first carry of the ball game, and he gets knocked out of bounds. The clock will finally stop. Loss of a couple, it'll be 3rd and 7.
Lassick didn't find anything inside that time. He tried to bounce it out, but good pursuit by LSU's linebackers.
That was Ray Adams on the tackle. Adams, number 21, is again a sophomore, a lot of sophomore and freshmen playing on this LSU defense, and Ray rides him out of bounds.
I'm not sure Lassick is recovering from that hamstring pull. Watching me just then, seems to be struggling a little bit.
Here comes Lassick again, and he's hammered down at the 44. Looks like he'll be just short of the first down.
Gene Stallings will have a decision on this play. It appears to be 4th and less than a yard.
Well, you can hear what the crowd wants for him to do. 3 minutes to play here in the first half.
And he's got a huddle around him over there trying to tell him what to do.
Looks like they're going to go for it.
You can hear the crowd yelling their approval. Gary getting that short yardage play ready. He calls the short yardage plays from his wristband. Scott explained that to us in our last football game. Hollingsworth comes to the line, 4th and 1. Robert Jones falls forward. He's got it.
The surge of the Alabama offensive line behind Roger Schultz, Trent Patterson, and Carroll Chapman was once again the reason for that. Look at the surge. Look where the tails are. They're down low and motoring out of there. The tails aren't coming up. The heads aren't coming up. You don't see any stripes on any helmets jumping up. You see everybody low and coming out in one surge. Robert Jones had an easy path of it.
Whenever it's 3rd and short, 4th and short, 1st and goal from the 2 or 3, Robert Jones seems to be the man. So it's 1st and 10 from the 42. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Chris Anderson goes left. And he's collared around the neck by Rovelro Swan, number 35.
If you can run the right side of Alabama's or LSU's defensive front with Mark Boutte over there, I'd say you have LSU. He's a player.
There's Rovelro. You see the unusual spelling, the unusual name, Rovelro, a freshman out of Shreveport. 2nd and 10. Lamont Russell gets a first down for Alabama.
Lamont Russell now just 2 receptions for passing Ozzie Newsome for second place on the career reception list. Give the credit again to the offensive line, a play-action fake which seemed to hold the LSU front and linebackers. Lamont kept moving, which is his specialty. He was covered when he came off his original break, kept moving, and Gary saw him.
Lamont did not catch a pass last week against Mississippi State, which snapped a string he had of 24 consecutive games of catching at least a pass. So now he's back on another string.
Lamont is an excellent receiver in the crowd. He keeps moving. He's the kind of guy that he can be covered on one side and you can throw it to the other side of him and he's wide open. He's that kind of player. A lot of guys just don't have the knack for that, but he has that.
Good shot of Gene Stallings. Mal Moore with a headset, talking into it there. He's the offensive coordinator, if you will. Gary Hollingsworth getting the play. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 30. 1:24 on the clock, and there's Mike Archer.
I like the way this Alabama crowd is coming alive.
Alabama's offense, Scott, giving them a little thing to cheer about. First 3 series, they weren't able to do much, but the last couple, they've been able to take the ball and move it down the field. 1 minute and 24 seconds to play here in the first half.
Kevin Turner, Robert Jones in the backfield. Binkley in motion.
Play action.
Lamont Russell appeared to be open, or at least have a half a step or so on the defender.
Gary tried to throw, Hollingsworth trying to throw that on a little too much of a line. It looked like from up here, Lamont had a couple of steps on the defensive back. Gary could have laid it out, let him run under it. He might could have picked it up.
Let's go down to Mike Dubberly. Mike, what you got?
Guys, the Alabama defense was happy to get out at halftime maybe with 3 points. They had some problems early hearing and checking off on the defense. They've solved those problems, obviously, and they've remedied that. Looks like they'll be better in the second half. We'll send it back to you.
2nd and 10 now from the 30. Robert Jones working his way to the outside, and he's hit hard and brought down, but a nice gain of 5 or 6. The tackle by Wayne Williams, number 23.
Every time Robert runs the football, he gains confidence and he gets better eyes. Robert is seeing a lot more things. He's not running into a tunnel now. He's beginning to run for daylight, which any good back can do. Look at him come out of here to the left in daylight. 2 or 3 games ago, Robert wasn't doing that. He was running into the pile, into the tunnel. Now he's finding daylight.
Took a nice lick there, and Gary Hollingsworth calls a timeout. There's the 3rd down conversions. LSU was 4 for 4, and since then they've gone 1 for 4. Alabama 4 for 8, so things have evened out.
Now back, Scott, to what you were talking about, Robert Jones, not blessed with a lot of speed. He's not the fastest running back. He doesn't have that quick, explosive acceleration that Chris Anderson has, but like you say, he's seeing things real well. He's picking and choosing the hole and where to bounce it, and he's made some real nice runs for Alabama this afternoon.
Al Moore discussing it with Gary Hollingsworth. Mal, of course, been under some criticism this year, but all of us know Saran Stacy lost, Craig Sanderson, Prince Wimbley, all lost in the offense, and it's tough to get it going sometimes when you've lost key people like that. Alabama beginning to come alive here today offensively after the first 3 series.
Really are. Anytime you lose a Saran Stacy in the first game, and then you follow up by losing Craig Sanderson and Prince Wimbley, stopping and looking at their production during their careers here at Alabama, those 3 guys have accounted for over 22 touchdowns and about 2,500 yards in offense. So anytime you take 3 people like that out of your offense when you work during August, with them being just an integral part of your offense, that's really going to affect your production.
Good shot of Gary Hollingsworth. 3rd and 3 from the 23, 41 seconds to go in the first half. The pitch to Robert Jones. Robert trying to fake the defender with some sort of movement there with the ball, but he's pushed out of bounds. A nice defensive play from Anthony Marshall, number 14. So Philip Doyle comes on to attempt a 42-yard field goal. We'll get the official mark here in a moment. Nice defensive stand for the Tigers. He'll kick it from the 35, so make it a 45-yard field goal for Philip Doyle. And he boots it. Did he hook it a little left? He sure did. He hooked it left. Pulled it. So Alabama comes away with no points after driving the ball a good distance. And they'll hold on to that 7-3 lead, it looks like, going into halftime.
Well, nothing's automatic, and Philip Doyle is leading the NCAA, averaging 2.4 field goals per game, 9 points. But again, nothing is automatic. He hooked that one a little bit.
He did. That's only his 4th miss of the season. Going in, he was 19 out of 22. One of those misses was from over 50 yards, and one of the other ones was from 40 to 49, so that's his 2nd miss from that range this year.
Hey, he kicked one at Tennessee, though.
There's the handoff up the middle. LSU stopped right at the line of scrimmage. They will be happy to go into the locker room, trailing just 7-3. Odell Beckham on the carry there.
I think this is clearly a case, Doug, where both teams might be happy with what's going on at halftime here, at least going into the bench or going into the locker room.
Speaking of the kickers again, Van Tiffen on the field today as they honored the team of the decade for the University of Alabama, and Van was the last All-American kicker for the Tide, and this year they're touting Philip Doyle in that same role as the All-American kicker.
And a lot of those Alabama fans, when they announced Van Tiffen's name, I think they remembered that kick he made at Birmingham against Auburn, because I think he got one of the largest ovations of any of the players that were introduced.
That was a memorable kick, as was the Tennessee boot that Scott commented in earlier. Let's get your thoughts now. Scott first, 7-3 Alabama at halftime, missed opportunities from both sides. Your thoughts?
Well, it took Alabama 3 series on offense to wake up before they finally got something going. Chris Anderson's 30-yard touchdown. The thing I look at and see in the first half, the thing I see happening is Alabama's offensive line is beginning to show a little domination of the LSU front, with the exception of running against Mark Matei on LSU's right-hand side. But Terrell Chapman looking good. Trent Patterson, both of those on the right-hand side are beginning to dominate some. I like the trend of that.
Ricky, talk about the defense. Mike commented on the field that they were having trouble hearing the audibles and the change-offs. Now they seem to have straightened it out.
A lot of times what you do on defense is when the offense comes out and they'll put somebody in motion or they'll shift into a different formation, that affects what defense you'll run. Evidently, they were trying to do it by yelling at one another, and what they probably did is they shifted to hand signals. But just like it took the offense a couple of series to get going, it took Alabama's defense a few series. They came up with a big play, stopping LSU's first drive, forcing the fumble. Second drive, LSU put the 3 points on the board, but after that, Alabama's defense is playing like they've been playing for the last 4 or 5 weeks.
The streak now 14 quarters they have not allowed a touchdown. Scott, talk about LSU's strategy to continually switch quarterbacks. Every other series it's Luke or Graves. Graves.
Neither quarterback all season has been very consistent. So I think what Mike is trying to do here today, I'll let you guys decide for me. I'll switch you out, and then at halftime, you'll see Mike at halftime, and he'll make a decision probably to go with one or the other a little more in the second half, figuring that he's got it done by now.
Comment on Chris Anderson. The young freshman continues to get better and better. I guess it's a matter of confidence.
Well, I like the way Chris is beginning to run north and south. No back is going to score on every play, every time he touches the football. He's going to have to take his lumps. He's going to have to make his 4 or 5 hard yards north and south. And Chris has now accepted it and understands that, and he's doing it.
And Ricky, besides the one burst by Anderson, the LSU defense has done a solid job in controlling Alabama somewhat.
They really have. They have one of the worst rushing defenses in the conference, and I think Alabama probably came in thinking that they could run the ball. As the first half wore on, Alabama did a better job. And just to comment a little about what Scott was saying about Chris Anderson, Anderson in high school probably was able to outrun everybody that he played against, and so he could bounce it outside. It's taken him this long into the season to realize he needs to take what the defense has given him. He needs to take it up inside and not try to bounce everything outside. But Alabama's offense is just got to continue to keep the ball and work some yardage and work the clock, because I don't think LSU's offense is going to be able to do a whole lot of damage against this Alabama defense.
As a defensive man, I know Scott enjoys it when the offense puts up the big numbers, and that's what everybody comes to see, but I really think the defense is getting the crowd involved in this. They're getting excited about sacks and stopping people for losses.
They really have, and what's so great about Alabama's defense this year, if you're an Alabama fan, is coming into the season, everybody was writing them off as not being any good, and it was going to take the offense to carry the whole load for the team this year. Even talking with some of the defensive coaches before the season, I think in their wildest imaginations, they never expected this defense to perform like it has. You got to give the players a lot of credit. They've taken a lot of pride in what they're doing, and you're right, the crowd really gets into it. You've got a team that's leading the SEC in sacks. You've got guys like Eric Curry, Robert Stewart, who really haven't played any on defense until this year, that are coming through and just doing a super job.
Eric Curry, I remember the last game we did, you said he looks like another John Hand.
That he did. Alabama has not had the dominating pass rusher for some 3, 4, 5 years. I'm saying pass rusher, I'm not talking about a Cornelius Bennett or somebody coming from the outside position as a linebacker. I'm talking about line up in a three-point stance and beat an offensive lineman and get to the passer.
Speaking of superstars and talented players, Mike Dubberly's on the field now with a young man who has that title. Mike?
Guys, I'm sure the Alabama offense would like to have Saran Stacy, the Alabama running back who hurt his knee in the first game of the year, and Saran Stacy standing by now. Saran, we had a report earlier that you may be ready to come back to the Auburn game, or at least you were trying to. What is the status of that right now?
Well, basically what we're doing, we're just trying to, get my health back as soon as possible. The way we're looking right now, things are going well with my rehab, but as far as coming back for the Auburn game, I don't think that's a possibility.
I know you're getting asked this every day. Have you decided about the draft in next year, whether or not you'll come back with a medical record?
No. The most important thing I can do right now is just get my knee back well and stay in school. And so right now I'm really not, thinking about what I'm going to do.
Has your rehab come along quicker than you expected?
Yeah, it has. I've got a lot of range of motion back in my knee. My legs getting a lot stronger, and things are getting back to normal.
You're also a heck of a bowler, I understand.
Yeah, I used to be anyway till you left me.
All right, Saran, give me a quick assessment, though, of the first half. Alabama's offense struggled there early, but started to get things going there in the end.
Yeah, I think our key is our running game. We're getting a lot of movement on the ball. Chris had that good run, and Robinson's running well. I think that's opened a lot. That's helping Gary a lot. If we can keep that up the second half, there's no reason why we shouldn't win this football game.
Saran, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Guys, to explain the bowling thing, me and Saran went bowling one time, and let's just say he's a better running back than he is a bowler. Let's send it back to you.
Saran's recovery is coming along nicely. He told me last week that he was looking forward to coming back and playing against Auburn. And Dr. Wes Fowler, upon hearing that news, simply smiled and shrugged and said, probably not. That's wishful thinking. Nevertheless, the score at halftime, Alabama leads 7-3 on that 30-yard scamper by Chris Anderson. And while we have a moment, let's listen to this message about the University of Alabama.
When you take this Blue Creek coal, pulverize it, and then mix it with water and additives, what you get is a new energy source. It's called coal water slurry, and it's being developed in this University of Alabama.
Welcome back, everyone. Standing to my left now, a man who really needs no introduction, the basketball coach at the University of Alabama, Wimp Sanderson. Coach, this morning before the football game, you held a scrimmage. 5,000 people jammed into Coleman Coliseum to watch you practice and scrimmage. Surprised by that number?
I really was. It was a great crowd for us. We certainly haven't had that many in past years, and I think everybody around the state's excited about our basketball team this season. I'm excited about it. Hopefully it'll be as good as people think it's going to be. But to have 5,000 in there this morning was just really great. 5,000
at Coleman Coliseum. The other night I was at Shades Valley High School in Birmingham, where you had to turn people away. 2,000 jammed into a little place that holds maybe 1,200. You actually had to turn people away. That says something about your program and where it's going, where it's been.
Well, we've had a good, consistent basketball program. We just haven't had quite the interest in it that we should have had. And I think for the last year or two, people have begun to realize how good our teams have been and have been coming out. And we have some exciting players on our team this year. We went a long way last year in the NCAA. And so based on those things, I think people are beginning to realize that Alabama basketball is pretty good.
Larry Conley, an ESPN and ABC basketball commentator, was at that game, and he described you as a cult figure. And he said that's why the popularity is where it's at, because of you and your plaid and your parquet. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't think so. I think basically the winning and the players should get credit for that. I'm just kind of there trying to direct them.
Modest as always, your team picked by the media and the coaches to win the conference this year. Your thoughts?
Well, the media picked LSU last year, and Georgia won it, so they're not very smart. They picked us, and we'll just have to accept it, do the best we can.
I thought you made interesting comments in the interview room I was in with you. You said that you don't have Keith Askins. You have a lot of superstars, a lot of great names this year, but you're missing a workhorse like Keith Askins. That was interesting.
Yeah, I think it really are. Keith is a great player for us, and David Benoit is a great rebounder, and James Sanders a good defensive pressure man. We don't have the defense right now that we had last year. In order for our team to be good, it's going to have to pick up defensively.
But depth-wise, when you have 10 or 12 athletes like you have to choose from, that helps.
I think we're better. I think number 7, 8, 9, and 10 are much better this year than they have been in past years.
Does it cause you and your coaching staff problems when you have so many players? It's hard to choose a starting lineup.
Well, I think it's difficult to do a good job in trying to rotate your people and get all of them some playing time and make them all happy. That's very hard to do. But I think we have a good understanding among our coaches and our players that we're going to try and win first and play the very best players we possibly can and then go from there. And I've never been one to play a whole lot of people, but I have been one to also see that most of our guys get in games where we're winning by a big margin.
Certainly a nice problem to have. Talk about James Robinson. The folks watching today are dying to find out your thoughts on the young man who is getting a lot of publicity.
Well, I think James has grown a lot. He's a young man who set out for a year and couldn't play. I think his defense is picking up. He's playing fairly hard. Shot selection's not too bad. He just needs some game experience and to get into the battle and play against some, some guys that are as good as he is. And I think he's going to be a good player.
Besides the conference schedule, which is always attractive and fun, I like your non-conference schedule. You play Wake Forest, a team which is loaded, and people don't realize that necessarily, and you play at North Carolina, among others, Wichita State. It's going to be a fun schedule.
Yeah, and another game, too, Southern Mississippi, who has all their players back from an NCAA team, is going to be a very difficult game the night before we play Auburn in football. I think it'll be one of the great games in the history of Birmingham.
Clarence Witherspoon, the young man for Southern Miss. People don't realize that he's maybe a lottery pick.
Well, Clarence is really excited about having the opportunity to play Alabama. He said on several occasions he can't wait to play us, so it'll be a very interesting game.
Get back to the conference. Besides yourself, I know you hate picking yourself. Who do you like? Naturally, LSU, Georgia, but talk about some of the others. It seems like it's wide open.
LSU and Georgia come to mind, but I think Kentucky's going to be very, very good. They've got Mashburn, a good player. Mississippi State has all 5 starters back. They'll be much improved. I think Florida's going to be a much improved situation. It's going to be a topsy-turvy league again, but if I had to select about 4 other teams besides ourselves, I'd say State and Georgia and certainly Kentucky and LSU.
It's going to be a wide-open race. Are you excited? It's always been a football-crazed state, and for good reason. Big crowds, excitement around the football team, but I think now the basketball team has as much excitement or more, as evidenced by the 5,000 people today just to see a practice.
Well, I am excited for our kids. It's been a long time coming. You know, we've been to 5 Final 16s with this program in the last 10 years. That's something no other program in the country has hardly done. And sometimes I have a feeling that people outside the state appreciate a little bit more than those inside the state. But I think that's changing somewhat. People are coming out, and we're excited.
Let me ask you this. Besides your program, you're a good friend of Paul Westhead, the former head coach of Loyola Marymount, a man who you battled last year in a heck of a basketball game, 52-50, I think the score. He's now the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, and trying that style in the NBA. Did not win an exhibition game, and he's 0-5 now in the regular season. Your thoughts on his style in the NBA?
I think Paul's got 2 problems. Number 1, he doesn't have a lot of players. You're not going to win unless you've got some players. Number 2, the three-point play in college is different than the three-point play in professional basketball. It's further out, and if you go out and shoot a lot of three-point shots in professional basketball and go down and give up a lot of 2s, it doesn't balance out. And I think Paul's going to have some problems there.
I know every summer you get with him, play tennis, you and your wife, he and his wife. Some people said maybe Wimp picked up some things. Maybe we'll see some Loyola Marymount in the Tide this year?
No, I don't think so. We'll be a fast-breaking kind of team, but not that fast.
All right, Wimp, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck this season. Always a pleasure to talk a little hoops here at halftime of a big football game.
Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it very much.
All right, Wimp Sanders. As we look at the monitor, we'll see a picture of a young man by the name of Cecil Hootie Ingram, went to Tuscaloosa High School. Hootie still holds the record for the NCAA with 10 interceptions in a season. That happened back in 1952. That was Cecil Hootie Ingram then, and this is Cecil Hootie Ingram now. And, Coach, we keep bringing back that old picture of you. What do you think?
Well, I'm glad I made one run anyhow.
You still hold that record, 10 interceptions, something that may never be broken. No one ever seems to get close enough to it.
Well, as many passes they throw now, somebody ought to get that in a couple of games, I tell you.
Hey, tell me now, we just got through talking to Wimp Sanderson, and we'll talk football in a moment, but does it get you excited to feel the excitement surrounding that basketball program? 5,000 people to visit a scrimmage in the morning in the state of Alabama. That's rare if that's ever happened before.
Well, it's exciting not only to see that kind of enthusiasm, but I get excited when I go watch them practice. They've got obviously a lot of talent, and Wimp's going to coach them the same way he coaches when he didn't have talent. So they'll be a good basketball team.
All right, let's talk football. Behind us, we see the $1 Million Band on the turf here at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We understand this will be the last time the turf will be seen. When are you going to tear it up? What is the plan to install the PAT, the prescription athletic turf?
Well, we plan to have it installed this spring. I don't know exactly the timetable. We've got a few administrative things to do before that, but we made the decision some time ago to go to prescription turf because we think it always gives you a good playing surface and it's natural grass, and also you can have a flat field when you put that in. So all these factors are what we wanted.
I guess it'll avoid injuries too. That's the feeling behind it, maybe?
Well, I'm not going to get into that because I really don't know if you have more injuries on one or the other. You know, when you play football, you're going to get people hurt, unfortunately, but we don't know about that area, but we're glad to have the field.
Hootie, thanks for coming by as always.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Hootie Ingram, the athletic director at the University of Alabama, and let's listen to this announcement from the Southeastern Conference. It's 7-3 at halftime. Ricky, what do you see there that really stands out besides the rushing stat? Alabama really leading in that category.
Everything else is pretty even, Doug, as we look down. Time of possession, I thought would be a big key today. Both teams keeping the ball. Alabama 15 minutes, 48 seconds. LSU 14-12. One big turnover for LSU, that fumble when they had the ball down inside the Alabama 10 early on. Alabama, no turnovers. That's a big factor for Alabama, as we've talked about. Alabama's offense, and it hasn't been able this year to be real productive, and so it's one of the keys for them in putting points on the board is to avoid turnovers.
LSU took the opening drive and drove it right down within striking distance and fumbled, as Ricky talked about, and then in their very next drive they drove down and did salvage the field goal. Pedro Suarez, a young man from Hialeah or Miami, Florida, kicked it through for the 3-0 lead, but back came Alabama, and Scott, you were raving on the blocking.
Yes, I was raving about this. Trent Patterson and Terrell Chapman leading out. Look at both of them pull. If you missed my comment earlier, I like the way they stayed on their feet, kept their feet, and gave the back somewhere to go. Chris Anderson got a crack because of what Trent and Terrell had done, and he had enough speed to put it into the end zone.
Chris Anderson, a former male model from the Huntsville area, worked for some department store in that area, and he's certainly looking good on the football field as well.
What did he model, the Flash costume?
So there you see a good shot of Saul Graves on the sideline, and your guess is as good as mine of who will start for LSU. Alternating series, alternating quarterbacks for Mike Archer, Chad Luke, Saul Graves, and they even told us we may see the other quarterback, Chris Mook, who is a freshman. Got a Gene Stallings, Philip Doyle ready to kick off. A close game we have here, but that is not unusual in this series. The last time, 1988, these two teams met here, the Tigers won 19-18. Philip Doyle had a chance to win it on that 52-yard field goal, just barely missed. In 86, it was 14-10, 84, 16-14. So I think we're in store for another close ball game. The deep kick taken on the 2 by Wayne Williams, who brings it up and breaks it loose, and he's finally tackled from behind by Rip Mitchell. That was Odell Beckham who broke free.
Rip certainly did a good thing there, pursuing. He stayed on his feet after coming off a block. You never know when you're going to get back into a kickoff, and Rip must have ran about 40 yards to make this tackle.
He really did. He came all the way from the left side of the cover team and turned it all the way around. There you see him. He just went behind the ball carrier. Beckham turns upfield, avoids a couple of tacklers, and Mitchell came up and made a tackle.
Harvey Williams brought to his feet by Derek Oden, who made the initial hit, and Williams fell forward.
You hate to jinx the defense, Ricky, but I don't think LSU's had a play over about 11 or 12 yards yet.
They may have completed a couple of passes that picked up, Scott, but you're right as far as running the ball. Alabama defense, and that's one big thing, is the pursuit on that defense has been just outstanding the last couple of weeks, and that will avoid the big play on offense.
Alabama with that 3-4 defense, 3 down linemen, the 2 linebackers. The pitch left going to Harvey Williams. Again, strong pursuit, but Williams found a hole and gets the first down. McMillan knocks him out.
That time Harvey Williams, using that great athletic ability that he has, he found a seam out there around the corner, turned it upfield, and picked up an LSU first down. 6'3", 208-pound senior, just a tremendous athlete.
I was walking around the LSU locker room a couple of years ago, and Harvey looked like he was chiseled out of stone.
14:09 on the clock now. 1st and 10 from the 46. Saul Graves, the quarterback. He is the senior, Loop is the freshman, and he goes deep, and it's going to be nearly intercepted. I thought it was a sure thing, but never a sure thing as it goes out of bounds.
Not a good throw that time by Saul Graves. He was just trying to lay it out and let the receiver run under it. That time, George Teague, number 13 for Alabama, almost came up with the big interception.
Well, Georgia Tech breathing a sigh of relief as they win 6-3 to keep their national title hopes alive. Virginia knocks off North Carolina 24-10. It looks like Tech will beat them out for that ACC title. Auburn, 3rd quarter, 12-0 against Southern Mississippi. And Florida hammering Georgia 38-7.
And we have a penalty on the field. LSU being walked off there, Doug.
Tripping. That's a 15-yarder.
Probably one of the offensive linemen trying to knock down one of the defensive linemen rushing.
Let's go down to Mike Dubberly. Mike?
Guys, Coach Bryant started a tradition here of Alabama always taking the visiting side of the field. As the sun breaks in their eyes, sometimes that's a factor. Steve Spurrier, when he came here from Florida, said he couldn't understand why the home team wasn't on the visiting side. When I told him, well, Coach Stallings could possibly change your tradition, he laughed and said, I don't think he'll change it. Back to you.
And you know why that is? Early on when Coach Bryant got here, somebody in television told him, Coach, if you're on the press box side, you won't be on television. You won't be on television unless you're on the other side, the east side, so the TV can hit you from the press box. That's why Alabama's on the other side.
Michigan hands the Fighting Illini their 2nd loss in a row. Saul Graves. Handoff up the middle. Is that Harvey Williams? Yes, it is. Brought down by Stacey Harrison.
LSU finally making that trap play up the middle work, Ricky.
Was just a quick opening trap behind number 57, Blake Miller, their all-conference center. And a nice block up the middle, picked up about 10 yards. That's going to bring up a big 3rd and 8 for LSU.
Did you see that Kentucky Vandy score? 21-21, 4th quarter. 3rd and 8 from the 44. Graves, plenty of time. Nobody open. Bring on the punting team for LSU. Another strong stand for the Tide D.
Give credit to the linebackers and the defensive backs that time because great protection by the LSU offensive line. We see number 11, Saul Graves. He just can't find anybody open. He tries to go. Derek Oden right there with the running back. Big defensive play by Alabama's secondary and linebackers.
Harold Bishop will punt for the 4th time today.
When people are being covered like that, you know the team has been well prepared. Bill Oliver has. LSU scouted real well and knows what they're going to do on certain situations. Thus, he's able to tell his men.
Anderson calls for the fair catch on the 14. 12:33 on the clock. 7-3 Alabama.
And the most important 5 minutes to win in the football game is the first 5 of the 3rd quarter. Don't you get tired of me saying that, Ricky?
Well, both you and I heard that stressed a lot when we were down here, and it's really true because if you can come out in the beginning 5 minutes, those first 5 minutes in the second half, establish the tempo for the rest of the half, chances are you're going to win the game.
Maybe a future Crimson Tider watching Kevin Turner hammer forward on 1st and 10, a gain of 6. possibly 7.
And once again, as we talked about at halftime, the trend of Alabama's offensive line coming off the ball and being dominant up front continued as we saw Alabama's first offensive play. The offensive line came off very well.
2nd and 3. Kevin gains 7. Another handoff. Chris Anderson has the first down. Inside 12 minutes, the time continues to tick away in what has been a very swift football game.
Both teams trying to run the ball and establish a ground game. LSU's rushing defense ranked 8th in the conference, so Alabama trying to establish the run here again in the second half.
The LSU defense has given up almost 200 yards per ball game on the ground, as opposed to Alabama's defense, which has given up about 95. The pitch to Chris Anderson. Looking for a hole, couldn't find one. Maybe one.
Doug, I enjoyed your interview at half with Coach Sanderson. A lot of the Alabama fans, basketball fans, looking forward to a big season from the basketball team.
He's really a modest fella, and I guess you have to be in his position when you have as much talent as he does.
First time I've seen him in years without a plaid jacket.
That's right. There's the play action fake. Gary looking for a receiver and finds, is that Chris Anderson?
I don't know if he threw it to him or handed it to him.
Just a little toss.
That time Gary didn't see. I don't think he saw.
One time I had Johnny Musso in a situation like this and threw a pass to him. It would have been about a yard and a half, a 2-yard throw. Al Van Hughes told me after the game, he said it was the shortest pass I've ever seen in Alabama football.
I think Gary was trying to get downfield to Lamont Russell, but never found him.
3rd and 7 from the 30. Passing down, Hollingsworth back. The screen.
Throws it away.
On comes Tank Williamson.
Good pickup that time by LSU's defense. They read the screen, had one of the defensive linemen standing right out there. Gary wisely threw the ball into the ground.
Tank has punted 3 times. There you see it. Ever since he was inserted shortly into the Tennessee game, he has been a solid punter.
He's gotten better and better. Look at that boomer.
Boy, what a kick. All the way down inside the 10. Alabama will get to it. Then tackled a runner on the 2-yard line. Vincent Fuller had nowhere to go. He picked up the football and got squashed on the 2.
I don't know how long that punt was, but I think it was to Northport.
I think Fuller must have touched the ball, or he thought he touched the ball. I think it might have rolled in the end zone, but it must have brushed him when it went past him. He tried to pick it up. Great coverage.
I stepped in, has his calculator out.
67 yards? Does that sound right? 67 yards. Wow. Listen to the crowd, Ricky. They want the D to score, I think. Loop in at quarterback. Dangerous pass, but complete. The 3rd reception of the day for Harold Bishop, who came in with 5 receptions on the season. He's caught 3 today.
Yeah, he's a big tight end from right over across the street here at Central High School in Tuscaloosa. Alabama wanted him real bad, but he decided to go down to Baton Rouge. He's a redshirt freshman starting for LSU this year.
And by the way, fellas, that punt was against the wind. I flew up here this morning. We got about a 30-knot wind at 7,000 feet. Looks like it's about 15 knots here out of the northwest.
What a kick. The handoff.
Nowhere.
Harvey Williams bottled up quickly. 3rd and 5 from the 7.
Ricky, when it looks like there's 15 red shirts down there making the tackle, you know they're playing defense.
They really are. You see these guys, they're throwing their bodies around. Harvey Williams gets the ball, trying to find the hole. There's Sullins, Derek Oden, watch it, Ephraim Thomas throwing his body in there. Defensive coaches getting excited down to the booth, a couple down from us.
Chad Luke, the freshman, a tough spot for him or for any quarterback. 3rd and 5 from the 7, 8:55 on the clock. Loop has Harvey Williams, who breaks free for the first down. Nice play up to the 23.
Ephraim Thomas in coverage that time. Looked like he slipped down, allowed Harvey Williams not only to catch the ball, but to pick it up and go all the way out to the 21-yard line.
Alabama had man-to-man on with a weak side blitz.
Really did, trying to gamble down there on the goal line to force a big play by the defense. That time, LSU's offense came up with a big first down.
1st and 10 from the 22, Harvey Williams. His number is called again, and again he's brought down a gain of a couple. He's been more effective as a pass receiver than a runner today.
He has. He's a big guy, so he's 6'3". He's visible by your quarterback. He's usually a little bigger than the defensive back, so it'll pick him up coming out of the backfield. He's a great athlete. He's going to be in the NFL next year.
There he is, 15 for 53, not bad, but he has got a couple of nice passes for first downs. 2nd and 6. Well, it looked like Darrell Williams should have caught that. A little bit behind him, though.
Hit him in a bad place between the numbers. Laces were down, though.
Tell you what, that's a play that LSU had a lot of success with in the first half. What they do is they put Harvey Williams out on the wing and then bring the fullback out into the flat. And so your linebacker coming from the inside out, he's got a lot of traffic to get through and cover his man. That time he was open, just couldn't hold on to the ball.
Chad Loop having a decent afternoon. He's thrown some safe passes, but they've been on target. 3rd and 6. He's brought down. Another sack for Eric Curry.
That's sack number 7 for him.
Sack number 7, and it looks like he has recovered from his injury. Eric Curry, just a sophomore. You'll see him come from his right defensive end position. A little game inside there. Curry beats the blocker, gets the quarterback around the legs and pulls it down.
2 sacks for Curry today, 7 for the season. If I'm not mistaken, that's the 5th sack for the Alabama defense this afternoon. Not bad. Brian Griffith again will punt for LSU. Chris Anderson deep. Fielded at the 43, brought down immediately by Ricardo Washington. Good look at Ricardo.
Good series that time by the Alabama defense as far as field position change. Alabama taking over now at the 43. Here we'll see Eric Curry again beating his man inside, coming up with the sack. And again, a good job by the Alabama secondary in coverage. 4th sack today.
Eric Curry, 6'6", 254 pounds, just a sophomore from Thomasville. Gain of 4 for Turner. 2nd and 6 from the 47. 6.5 minutes to go now in the 3rd quarter.
Alabama doing well on first down, particularly running the ball. Just are not doing very well on 3rd down passing situations.
Turner and Anderson. This is Chris. The pitch back to Gary. Wide open. Interception by Wayne Williams. I said wide open because running down the left sideline by himself, Lorenzo Cole didn't have a man within 20 yards of him, and Gene is telling him, hey.
As sometimes happens on the trick play like that, you're giving a receiver to throw it to thinking he might be open. That's not the case at all. This time, another guy came open, but Gary just didn't pick him up, thinking Lamont is the kind of guy you put the ball up to and will fight for it or not let it be caught. But that time, Lamont didn't have a chance as the LSU defender came out of nowhere to pick it up.
Wayne Williams, his 3rd interception of the season, and LSU leads the conference in interceptions. 1st and 10 from the 9. And hammering forward is Beckham.
Clyde Bolton from Birmingham News told me at halftime, he said maybe they should just let LSU have 8 downs. And the Alabama defense would score then.
That time George Thornton, number 94, Alabama's left defensive end, got great penetration forces the ball carrier back inside. Alabama's defensive front really does a good job controlling the line of scrimmage. You know, last year Alabama would bring people rushing. There you see the interceptions, 17 interceptions this season by LSU secondary. That's a great stat for your defense.
5.5 minutes to go. 2nd and 7. Graves in there at quarterback. Incomplete pass. Pressured by Steve Webb.
And a real good job that time by number 5. Ephraim Thomas came up and picked up the back out of the backfield. That's who they wanted to go to, but he wasn't open. And so Graves tried to go downfield, but he wasn't open there either. So a good play. Steve Webb in his face, forcing him to throw the ball.
Saul Graves, a big kid, 6'5", 194 pounds. He has been an academic All-American each year he has been at LSU. Chemical engineering, a 3.65 average. Smart kid. Maybe that's why he's playing quarterback, huh, Scott?
Oh, without a doubt. Intercepted almost.
Broke it up. Wasn't smart on that. Nearly threw it into coverage. Charles Gardner broke it up.
Charles Gardner, what Charles does in that 6 defensive back situation is he sits down at about 10 yards and just waits. He tries to read the quarterback. That time, he read Graves real well, broke in front.
He certainly
did.
missed
Gardner, he's back about 10 to 15 yards, just sitting there, breaks over in front, almost came up with the interception.
Brian Griffith will punt for the 5th time, having a good day. They need a good punt here. The wind behind him. Chris Anderson fields it at the 47, and he's nailed. Let's go down to Mike Dubberly.
Alabama's defense, even though they've made some big plays, they've toned down some of the celebration. John Solons and Derek Oden got into a little bit of trouble the last couple of weeks doing a dance they call the Scully. Coach Gene Stallings didn't particularly like the Scully, and Stallings told me this week we may not see it anymore this season. A shame. I hear those are the best moves we've seen around this area since the days of Ricky Davis and Scott Hunter. Let's send it back up to you.
No, I don't think
so. No. What do we do, Ricky, to swim?
Yeah, just walk back to the sideline.
Yeah, right.
Martin Houston gains 5. He's averaging over 6.5 yards every time he touches the football, and it's not very often. 2nd and 5 on the 43. We're down to 4:40 on the clock. This game is moving along. Robert Jones hammers forward, getting close to the 1st down. He was tackled by Juan Sendoya. There's a good shot of Juan, number 58, out of Miami. Juan Sendoya. Sounds like a movie star from down there or something. There's a good shot of Mike Archer. 37 years old, became the head coach 4 years ago. The youngest coach in Division I football.
Big 3rd down, Doug.
Martin Houston bulls forward, and it looks like he got it. He gets it twice. It looked like he had it the first time, no whistle, and he got it again.
I think he lost it the 2nd time, though.
It's going to be close.
Well, I think Alabama's probably in 4-down territory, whether or not they picked up the 1st down on that particular play.
Almost a delayed whistle there from the referees. It looked like his forward motion had been stopped. No whistle. He continued to play, and as Scott said, it looks like he might have lost a half a yard there.
It'll be a little short.
Yep.
So just a few inches. You saw Gene Stallings nod his head.
No doubt about this one.
Got to go for it.
Let's see who they have in the backfield. We see Martin Houston, Kevin Turner coming in, and also Robert Jones, their big back set.
Great time for a play-action pass right now, fellas. That's right out of the old Green Bay Packer playbook.
Robert Jones, the man they go to in short yardage, is right behind Gary Hollingsworth. Turner in motion. Jones, 1st down.
Yeah, that's a right call. I just love that play-action pass inside the 30 or 40-yard line on 4th and about an inch.
If you complete it.
Yeah, I can complete it. Well, you know what, Ricky? You complete about 75% of your short yardage passes in a 4th down and 1 yard or so.
There's the good blocking up front. Roger Schultz, the right side of that offensive line, a nice surge, and they really blew LSU off the football. 1st and 10 from the 34. Handoff up the middle to Junior Sewell, who's in the ball game in his first carry in 2 games.
Alabama having a little more success on the right-hand side as opposed to this side of the LSU front, because one of the best players in the Southeastern Conference, Mark Battaglia, is over there.
Kentucky goes above the 500 mark in the Southeastern Conference. Bill Curry against Steve Sloan. Sloan, the offensive coordinator for Vandy. The Cats win 28-21. The pitch to Robert Jones, who has been a workhorse. And he darts his way up 2 yards shy of the first down, a gain of 4.
Mal Moore must have overheard us talking about the right side of the Alabama line. Getting the ball back to that side, which seems a little weaker than Butte's side.
Yeah, I think, plus you've got Trent Patterson and Terrell Chapman on that right side. A lot of experience with Chris Robinette being out today. You have the younger William Barger, George Wilson, and Matt Hammond playing the left side. So Alabama trying to go behind their experienced right side of the offensive line.
3rd and 2, Alabama 4 out of 11 on 3rd down conversions. They'd like to bring that number up, and it looks like they did. Junior Sewell falls forward for what appears to be a tied first down. We're down to 2 minutes now in the 3rd quarter.
Outstanding young cheerleader there, and again, my wife Debbie Hunter was a cheerleader, so I have to acknowledge the cheerleaders again, or I get in trouble when I go home. Look at the Alabama offensive line. I hate to keep harping on this, but they're down low. Those tails are coming off. You don't see a lot of heads popping up. You see people down low, and you see LSU helmets up in the air being driven back.
Trent Patterson, Terrell Chapman, the 2 big fellows on the right side of that line. This time it goes left. Robert Jones cuts back, and he's brought down. Number 64, Scott Wharton, the nose guard. Got him by the ankles.
You could say at home, well, this is boring. They're just running the ball. They're gaining 4 and 5 and 6 yards on first down. And my old high school coach used to say, if you gain 4 or more yards on first down, it's a great play.
144 to 56. It's hard to complain about those numbers. Pitch right. Robert Jones cuts back. Gets close. 2 yards short of the first down. Gain of 4 for Robert. Nice cutback. First down. Depends where they mark it.
That really was. That's a great cutback that time by Robert Jones. He saw right off the bat that he wasn't going to be able to take it outside. Sat, waited, turned back inside, picked up a first down.
You hear the crowd respond to that. It is a first down. It appeared that he might have been short, but they gave him the mark. Inside a minute, pitch to Chris Anderson. Chris gets to the 10. Well, it's a simplified offense. Pitch right, pitch left, but effective.
It really is, and again, pointing at the LSU defense, they're 8th in the conference against the run. I know that's something that Coach John Mitchell and the LSU defensive coaches aren't proud of. Alabama's offensive coaches trying to cash in against that, and they're being successful today.
2nd and 7. 24 seconds to go, 3rd period. Kevin Turner fights his way up to the 5. Reggie Walker. Rovell Swan in on the stop.
This is the best I've seen the Alabama offensive line perform this year. They're coming up the ball on every play, knocking people back.
Listen to the crowd, guys. They're holding up 4 fingers and they're excited. Listen to the folks in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama fans have really become appreciative of this team. They started the season by losing those first 3 ball games. And it would have been real easy for a team to just quit, hold up their tents, and go home and say the season's over. But Alabama hadn't done that. Both offensively and defensively, they've gotten better and better every week.
Well, there's some things that are given, Ricky. Alabama teams don't quit. Alabama teams think about bowl games. They expect to be in bowl games. Alabama teams expect to have great defenses. That's Alabama football. Alabama fans are supposed to support Alabama football. There's some things that are expected.
Let's think LSU for a moment, Ricky. It's 7-3. If they can hold Alabama to a field goal here, that would be key for them.
It really is. I think LSU, their coaches have got to be, and their players right now have got to be thinking, we've got to hold them to a field goal here. We can't afford to give Alabama 7 more points and fall behind 14-3 against a defense that hadn't given up a touchdown in a long time. So I know the defensive players on the LSU side of the ball right now are thinking, we got to hold them.
Speaking of that, the defensive streak now at 15 quarters and counting without allowing a touchdown. We're more concerned about an Alabama touchdown. And Martin Houston gets stopped short of the first down. I don't believe he got it.
Seeing where the official standing, he didn't make it to the 5-yard line, so he's going to be about a yard and a half short. So we see Philip Doyle coming in for the field goal.
First tactical error probably by the Alabama offensive coaches. I don't like a 3rd and short without a lead blocker. If the first guy gets stuffed, as Martin Houston did, he's got nobody in front of him to help. Consequently, just nowhere to go.
Solid stand by the LSU defense. Reggie Walker and the man that Scott has been talking about, Mr. Boutte, Mark Boutte, in on the stop. Philip Doyle missed his first field goal of the day, trying a 22-yarder, and it is good. 10-7 Alabama, but for LSU, a moral victory there. That was key.
It really was key. Now it's 10-3. Score a touchdown. If it's a late touchdown, you go for 2, you win the ball game. If you're down 14-3, it's a totally different complexion on the game. I know the LSU coaches and players have to be pleased. Alabama's offense, Scott, on the other hand, really a nice drive that time. They took the ball, ran it down, used a lot of clock, just weren't able to come away with the touchdown.
Well, the main thing is when you're inside the 20-yard line is get some points on the board, and they did. If Philip Doyle missed a field goal in the first half, could be 13-3 right now.
Let's check in with Mike Dubberly.
Guys, I just had a chance to chat with offensive coach Mal Moore. He told me they don't need to make any major adjustments on offense. They just need to get after it. They did that on the last series but didn't cash in. We'll send it back to you.
The drive was 42 yards, 13 plays, and they killed 5 minutes and 54 seconds, and they went just 42 yards, and it resulted in a 22-yard field goal by Philip Doyle.
Well, going back to the third quarter, I would have to say the most outstanding play in the third quarter, which changed the field position, was Tank Williamson's 67-yard punt. Whew. That changed the entire course of the third quarter.
What a boot. Philip Doyle had been kicking him deep in the end zone last week, but this one's short on the 10. Fielded by Odell Beckham, and he's brought down to the 22-yard line. Flag down on the play. It was a late flag after the whistle had blown. We'll see what the call.
It was thrown over at the feet of one of the LSU men, so it might be a holding penalty against LSU. We'll wait and see if we can't get a signal.
Beckham bobbled the football, and Alabama pounced on it, but it was after he had already hit the turf.
Well, I know the Alabama coaches and Alabama fans have to feel pretty good. You're ahead by 7 points, 10-3, and you got your defense on the field.
It's a clip, so they'll take it back.
Well, field position is going to be so critical for LSU right now. They've had, Scott, as you mentioned, that Tank Williamson punt backed them up, and they haven't been able to get any good field position against an Alabama defense that really swarms after the ball. LSU needs to get some field position.
There's the scoring drive. The field now here at Bryant-Denny Stadium almost totally covered by the shade. You can see just a little sun dispersed throughout the field. New quarterback Chris Mook hands off to Harvey Williams. So here in a tough spot, a crucial situation, 13:57 on the clock. Mike Archer goes to his third man in the rotation, relief pitcher Chris Mook, a 6'1", 185-pound junior from Greenwell Springs, Louisiana. His first game back since breaking his ankle back in the spring game.
I don't know about this one. I think you're inviting a turnover if you get down to a second or third and long.
Interesting, a man on the hot seat, Mike Archer, is gambling here. The Riverboat gambler Mike Archer goes to an untested quarterback, a man who has not played all season. His first pass of the year, interception. Scott Hunter, you read it perfectly. Spencer Hammond with a big Alabama scores for the touchdown. Uh-oh, what a goof.
Spencer Hammond, I tell you what, he just stepped right in front of him. There we see him. Touchdown, and I know that the Alabama defense got to feel super about that. Taking the ball and turning it around, sudden change, going from defense to offense, putting points on the board.
Well, I hate to sound like some sort of old sage on the mountain who seems to know what's going to happen in the future, because I'm not. I just didn't agree with the putting in the new quarterback, especially a guy who hadn't played in a couple of 3 weeks.
Not a smart throw that time. Harvey Williams, he was trying to get the ball out to him, and Spencer Hammond was all over him.
Philip Doyle looks to make it a 17-3 football game, and he does, and oh how quickly the tide turns. Oh my.
That's a big, big play, giving this Alabama defense a 14-point lead. Here again, we see Chris Mook drops back, throws out to the flat. Spencer Hammond was all over him from the get-go that time. Just an ill-advised throw, Scott.
Terrible throw. And give Hammond credit. He's got the hands to catch it. That wasn't an easy catch for a linebacker, catching the ball down around his knees like that.
Spencer, the 10-yard return, the senior from Rome, Georgia. He's been around and played in a lot of fine defenses. He'll be the first to tell you that this one, without the superstars, might be the best of them all.
Ricky, I've been waiting on the Alabama defense to score a touchdown with a turnover. I've been waiting and waiting.
And you knew it was only a matter of time before it happened. As hard as these guys get after the ball, it was just a matter of time before they either got the interception or caused the fumble in the end zone. And that was a big, big turning point. Now LSU's down by 14. Their offense is going to have to really reach deep in their bag of tricks.
Philip Doyle, the deep boot into the end zone. Harvey Williams will not run it out. LSU will start from the 20-yard line, which will be their best field position so far. Their last 3 drives have started from the 2-yard line, the 9-yard line, and the 11.
We'll look to see who Mike Archer sends in at quarterback.
What do you call that, a mixed marriage of some sort, LSU and the Tide?
We got a penalty back down here on the 35-yard line. Looks like there may have been an offsides on the Alabama kickoff.
I guess you'd call that a crimson Cajun.
Well, you hate to second guess. Mike Archer is already feeling enough heat, but in a crucial situation, you're down 10-3, you're back up to your own 10-yard line, and still in the ball game, and you bring in a young man who hasn't played all year. That was his first pass.
It's just you have to wonder what he was thinking. I'm sure he was probably thinking that neither one of the other 2 guys have been able to get us in the end zone. It's time for some drastic steps to be taken. And even though our number 3 guy hasn't taken a snap this season, we're not moving the ball on Alabama's defense. We've got to try something. But it didn't work for him.
You said it, Doug.
You hate to look back on one play that could be the doom and gloom of someone, but that was a questionable move. Nevertheless, there's still a lot of time to go. 13 minutes and 18 seconds on the clock. Alabama with a 5-yard penalty will boot it from the 30. Harvey Williams gets a shot now from the 1. Breaks it out to the 30 and run out of bounds about the 39-yard line.
And do you know who was running him out of bounds? The kicker, Philip Doyle.
Yeah, one thing about Philip, he's not your typical kicker. Philip, I can remember watching him play high school football in Huffman and Birmingham, and Philip played linebacker on defense. He's not afraid to hit somebody.
Outstanding baseball player also.
It really is. One thing that's tough on your kickoff coverage team is having to cover 2 in a row like that. You see Harvey Williams, he catches the seam and makes a nice return.
New quarterback, Chad Luke, back in the game on a fumble. He falls on it.
George Thornton got his hand in there coming from the left defensive end position. He couldn't get to the quarterback as far as get his arms around him, but he reached that hand out, slapped the ball loose.
Well, there you see it. We told you the 2, the 9, the 11-yard line. This is their best field position of the lot. It's going to be 2nd and 18 from the 29, and when it's a passing situation, You can expect those linemen to come in with their ears back, breathing steam out of their nostrils. The draw. Nice gain, but not enough. Gets it back to the original line of scrimmage, or close to it, the 39.
Like one of the LSU players might be hurt.
Harvey Williams.
Harvey got caught in the melee there. Got rolled over.
Let's see if we can get a replay on that and see what happened to him. Can you rack it up, guys, in the truck and give it to us again?
A nice call by LSU staff going with the quarterback draw. Second real long. Simply the remaining running back in motion, leaving no one back there. We see Luke. Right up.
Ricky, let's see if we can see Harvey Williams.
Harvey.
Here. Oh, yes, he got rolled over on. Somebody rolled over the back of his legs. Bragg Rockwell into that tackle. Father is an outstanding Alabama fan and my family physician in Daphne, Alabama.
And his brother was an outstanding Alabama linebacker as well.
Third and 10 from the 39. Luke, back to pass. Has a receiver. Completed. McMillan runs him out of bounds. Scott Ray caught the pass. And he stopped well short of the first down.
Good effort by Alabama that time in the pursuit.
Did you see that secondary fly out there, Ricky?
They really do. Missed tackle there. We see Mark McMillan, who's in chase here, but you'll see a couple of bodies. Ephraim Thomas, Antonio Langham coming up, knocking the receiver out of bounds short of the first down.
Back to punt again. Brian Griffith. We have called his name quite a bit here in the second half. 11:44 to go in the ball game. The Tide by 2 touchdowns. Whoa, a high snap. He does a fine job of getting it and getting it away. That was touched by an LSU man, and he catapulted it through the end zone. Let's go down on the turf to Mike Gubberly now.
Guys, earlier today, the Birmingham Post-Herald honored their all-decade team of the 80s. One of the members of that team, Tommy Wilcox, the former Alabama defensive back. Quite an honor for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is, especially at a great place like the University of Alabama. So many great players have come through here, and it's always an honor to be a part of anything that's affiliated with Alabama football.
All right, thanks a lot, Tommy. Now, guys, if you can't notice, he is the Raging Cajun. You notice the accent. He's from Louisiana right now. LSU's down, though. Let's go back to you.
Chris Anderson around the left side, run out of bounds. Chris gains 3.
Mississippi State playing Alabama here in 1981. Johnny Cooks, the Mississippi State team, just outstanding. And Tommy Wilcox had one of the best games I've ever seen an Alabama safety had. He was all over the field.
Tommy was a great ball player. Number 15, not only a good defensive back from a coverage standpoint, but he was a tremendous hitter too.
Florida State covering the point spread there for those of you who keep up with that sort of thing. And Auburn, it's now a 12-7 game in Auburn against Southern Mississippi. And that first score, Washington, who many people say is the best team in the country, trailing UCLA. Robert Stewart, wonder what number he is.
I tell you what.
Wonder who gives him those haircuts.
Yeah. He's had a great year. There's a guy who's never played nose guard before the Southern Miss game in a regular season game. Played linebacker, he's played fullback. Just doing a great job.
Robert Stewart, the strongest man on the Alabama football team. Hollingsworth, the draw to Chris Anderson, who breaks to the outside, gets the first down, and he's run out of bounds.
Looks like we got a flag on the play. I think that one's going to come back.
Anthony Marshall ran him out of bounds. It was a first down, but it looks like maybe they have Alabama for holding.
Offsetting penalties.
Holding the Tide. Offsides LSU.
So we'll do it again.
So we'll replay it. 3rd and 5 from the 25. Gene Stallings looking to go above the 500 mark for the first time as Alabama's head coach. looking to go to 5-4 and move into the bowl picture with this victory. A game, well, a not-so-game Cincinnati team will come to Birmingham next week, so it looks like the Tide, if they hold on here, would be 6-4 heading to the Auburn game. The pass to Kevin Turner. First down, Alabama.
Play action counter out of the backfield. Kevin Turner, one of the hardest passes for a weak linebacker to cover because he's got to respect the play action in a sense. Kevin Turner coming on the counter play action out of it. See Kearse Anderson going to his right and back to his left. Linebacker has to respect that. Consequently, Turner is wide open. Gary just pops it to him for the first down. Good call by the Alabama offensive coaches.
Not very impressive, 6 for 11 for 42 yards, but when you're up 17-3, who cares about the stats?
Matt Hammond, number 63, getting an early jump that time. That's going to cost Alabama 5 yards. That was a big first down that time for Alabama. Not only do they keep the ball, but they get to use some more of the clock. Right now, 10 minutes to play.
Hammond outfoxed by veteran Boutte. Boutte came, so Hammond went. They've got their own snap count out there.
Matt is a redshirt freshman. William Barger lined up next to him on the left side, so a couple of young players there getting a lot of good experience. Of course, Matt has started every game, so he's getting experience quite a bit these days. Gary looking for Martin Houston, no go.
Same play back to the other side that Kevin Turner just caught. The counter with a fullback in the backfield or out of secondary, and Houston just couldn't seem to handle it. Pass was a little behind him.
I think it was a little behind him. We saw Gary that time kind of going three-quarter sidearm, getting the ball around the defensive end who was coming in. That's one thing about Hollingsworth throwing the ball. He'll throw it over the top, from the side, any way that he can to get it to the receiver.
2nd and 15, 9:53 on the clock. 17-3 Alabama. Robert Jones. Brought down by Juan Sendoya, number 58.
A danger zone area, 9:30 to go in the game. You got a third and about 13 yards. What do? Do you throw the ball, run a draw, keep the clock going, depend on your defense, punt the ball? A lot of things going through Gene Starling's mind right now, decision-wise.
Gary Hollingsworth calling the play. Third and 12, the screen. Nobody is there. Oh, that was a dangerous, dangerous pass that went incomplete.
Tell you what, we just had a cheer go up in the crowd here, and I think a lot of the Alabama folks might be listening to the Auburn game, and I'm just guessing, but something might have happened down at Auburn.
Oh, my. The Tigers certainly took it on the chin against Florida.
And we're just guessing, but there were a lot of people downstairs. Cheer went up, nothing happening on the field, so I'm just guessing, but a lot of the people may be listening to the Auburn game.
Flag down. Tank Williamson was hit after he punted the ball. It will be roughing the kicker, and Alabama will get a first down.
Definitely roughing the kicker.
That's a 15-yarder, folks, and Tank has been one of the stars of the game.
He really has. Going back to that 67-yard punt, that really changed the whole complexion of the second half, Scott.
That was it. Play of the game, as far as I'm concerned, is Tank's 67-yard punt. And then he's coached a roughing the kicker penalty here, which gives Alabama the ball back.
One thing LSU's coaches have got to be concerned about is with 8 minutes and 54 seconds left to play in the game, Alabama's offense back out on the field, at least able to run 3 more plays.
A lot of folks listening to transistor radios, and we're trying to find out the score of the Auburn game. Not a surprise, because our first pay-per-view telecast was the Southern Miss Alabama game, and the Golden Eagles showed Alabama what they had.
You really can't. Curly Hallman, who was an assistant here at Alabama in the 70s, has done just a tremendous job with his Golden Eagles over in Southern Mississippi.
There's the injured player. Raphael Adams walks off the field, and we just learned with a minute to play on the Plains, Southern Mississippi leads Auburn 14-12. 60 seconds to go. We'll see if Auburn can pull off another one of their miracle comebacks to pull this one out.
That is a mystery team for Coach Dye. They've got some tremendous talent down there, but there's just something missing. They just can't seem to put it together.
Gary comes in line, 1st and 10 from the 45. 8:54 to play in the football game. The field totally engulfed in shadows now. Junior Sewell up the middle, breaks a couple of tackles. A gain of 8 for Junior Sewell. Rovelro Swan finally pulled him down.
I like the balance of Junior Sewell here. He gets hit, goes almost to the ground. I think he dips his hand down to get his balance. That's just right out of the old book. Get your hand down on the ground, get your balance back, continues to run.
Junior Sewell.
And the crowd is being picked up here. Listen to the crowd, Doug.
A sophomore from Abbeville, a combination of Alabama playing well and Auburn losing, has this crowd in a frenzy. And Chris Anderson breaks it for a touchdown, Alabama. Chris Anderson, 46 yards. A star is born. Chris Anderson broke one earlier for 30, and Scott, it goes now for 46.
Folks, this is what Alabama football is all about. You play hard in the first half. You're ahead or behind a few points. You keep playing hard. In the fourth quarter, you play hard, you get a big run, big block, and you score. You put the ball game away. That's Alabama football.
It's 24-3. Alabama leads by a comfortable margin, and Chris Anderson has made a name for himself.
He really has, and that time just tremendous blocking again by the offensive line. Terrell Chapman pulling, kicking out the left side that time. Terrell's a big guy, 301 pounds. He can take a lot of bodies with him. But Chris Anderson has the speed. That's one thing he really has, and we'll see.
Look at the offensive line, the pull-out right there. That was Terrell Chapman pulling down the line on that counter, kicking out, and gosh, what a hole. Ricky, I think you could run through that hole.
I could, but I could not run the safety.
There it is, about the 10-yard line. He shifted it into overdrive.
That's a shift right there. You're right
Whoa.
about that, Doug.
That last burst of speed is incredible.
You know, he was a track star at Huntsville High School. He was the 100-yard and 220-yard state champion. Also an outstanding baseball player. That time just really turned it upfield, and like we talked about before, these last couple of weeks, Chris Anderson has really matured a lot. He's running north and south now.
Philip Doyle down to the 1-yard line, taken by Slip Watkins, and Slip slips a couple of tackles and pulls it up to the 26-yard line. 8 minutes to go in the ball game, and Alabama's up 24-3.
Let's look at the replay one more time, if we can, of Chris Anderson going over. Chris Anderson down the sidelines. An interpretation of this is if he hits the cone, he scores. Yet some people say,
Oops.
well, was he out of bounds? Whoa, wait, there's a foot out of bounds.
His left foot was out of bounds.
Okay, you got an Alabama call.
But again, there's no replay booth in college football. Robert Stewart. Big Stu. With the sack.
What happened to the LSU center? Did Robert eat him?
I was just getting to say, Blake Miller just gets, Robert Stewart runs right past him. Nobody touched him. Not only is Robert Stewart one of the strongest guys on the team, it's not often you see a guy as big and as strong as that who's as quick as he is.
8 plays, 80 yards, the big run. Chris Anderson, 46 yards. Loop over the middle, broken up by Gardner. Listen to the crowd, guys. They're in a frenzy. And Auburn has been beat.
what the defense is doing here. That time a great play by Charles Gardner sitting back.
They just announced it. Southern Miss 14, Auburn 12, and the crowd is going wild. 3rd and 15. Luke brought down by Robert Stewart. They'll have to punt it away. Here's one for you. Florida won the Alabama football title by knocking off both Auburn and Alabama, and Southern Miss shares the title by knocking off both teams. There it is.
After arrange a game this year between Southern Mississippi and Florida.
Coach P.W. Underwood said in the first game that Curly Hallman was putting his finger in the pie. Well, he stuck his finger in another pie, didn't he?
He took the whole pie home with him.
He did.
Well, we'll talk more about Southern Mississippi. Boy, do they deserve a lot of credit. Brian Griffith, the busiest man for LSU this half, punts again. Deep is the man of the hour, Chris Anderson, takes it on the 21, up to the 27. You know, Southern Mississippi played 11 straight weeks without a week off.
No week off, and you stop and you look at the 3 games that they lost. They lost to Georgia by a point, lost to Mississippi State by 3, and lost to VPI by 4.
Let's go to Mike Dubberly. Mike?
Well, it's the end of the turf. As it's already been noted, the turf's going to be ripped up. They're going to put in natural grass. When they ripped up the turf at Legion Field, they sold some of the chunks of it. Athletic Director Hootie Ingham tells me they're not going to sell this turf, so I got my scissors. Send it back to you.
Derek Lassick getting some playing time now. He's knocked out of bounds.
I want to ask Mike if Mike can find a couple of pieces of me down there if he keeps looking through that turf. I've left a couple of elbows and whatnots down there.
Derek Lassick comes up hobbling a bit. There's the turf. First Ricky, then Scott. Your comments on the turf leaving?
I'd prefer, when I was playing, I'd always rather play on a natural grass field if it was a good grass field. Going down to Baton Rouge, playing down there, that was a great field. On a wet day when it's muddy, I'd prefer the turf, but I think most players would prefer to play on natural grass if it's a good grass field.
And I preferred turf right up to the point where I was 32 years old in the National Football League, and then they had to put a chain on me to drag me out to play on turf again.
It really is. It's a lot harder. The surface is so much harder. It's like somebody rolled the grass, the artificial turf, out on the parking lot because there's a little asphalt slab underneath it. You have a little cushion about 1/4 of an inch thick, but it's just it's real tough on your body.
2nd and 5. Junior Sewell, Derek Lassick takes the pitch. Sewell with the blocker. Derek hard running. Charlie Dare in the ball game now. Toby Shields. Derek gets closer to the first down.
There's a flag in there. Afraid they're going to get Alabama for a hold.
And Doug, let's say it like it is. There's really no advantage any longer in recruiting to having natural turf. A lot of great skilled players just feel like turf gets you hurt. It's an injury-prone surface, and frankly, don't like to play on it, and consequently want to go somewhere else.
Another Lollapalooza in Knoxville, Tennessee leading Notre Dame by 3. Tennessee would love to knock off the Irish, beat Ole Miss next week, nail down that Sugar Bowl berth, and then who knows where they'll go.
Hey, don't count Ole Miss out, though.
Don't count them out. The game is in Memphis. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. The penalty on Alabama. Back to the turf, it will be what they call PAT. And Alabama's run up 278 yards on the turf. PAT, prescription athletic turf. That means basically there's not much of a crown. It's almost like Bermuda grass on a golfing green. Has its own drainage system underneath, its own watering system underneath. Derek Lassick. Nice game. It's the same turf they have in Gainesville.
There's really no reason. I was in Gainesville last Saturday night covering the Auburn, Florida game from our home station, WKRG in Mobile, and there's no real reason any longer to have turf because grass now, with what they have, drains so quickly. You don't have a mud bath out there anymore as it was 20, 25, 30 years ago when Ricky was playing.
That's right.
And it's just not, there's no real reason to have it anymore. I remember a particular game, Auburn against Alabama in '67. Good gracious.
Kenny Stabler went around right in.
Gary looking to pass. Lamond Russell was wide open. He's been open today, and Gary just hasn't gotten the ball to him.
Well, we got to face it. Lamont's not a wide receiver. He's not a downfield speed man. He's a tight end that's been switched out to split end because of all the injuries early in the season. Gary trying to hit him, throws a crisp pass downfield, probably put a little more air under it, let Lamont run under it, would have had 6 there.
All right, Tank Williamson with a punt back to the 18-yard line. Taking it there is Vincent Fuller, and he's brought down by a host of Alabama players around the 32-yard line. 4.5 minutes to play the football game. Alabama up 24-3. Another question for the two of you. Auburn has now lost 2 in a row, and apparently they're on the downslide, while Alabama in their offense can run the balls on the upslide. Talk about December 1st, the game at Legion Field. It looks like it's anybody's game now, and at one time it didn't look that way.
I think no matter what the season would have done for Auburn, I think you throw that one up in the air no matter what each team's records are. But I agree with you, Doug. Auburn's team is just a mystery. You stop and you look position by position. They have one of the most talented groups of players in the conference. Why they haven't been able to put it together is a big question. Their defense, like Scott, I was down in Gainesville last week. That was just Florida's offense, I think, could have scored 70 points if they'd really tried. They didn't try to move the ball in the second half. I think Alabama in that game will try to do a lot of what they've done today, control the ball by running it, not have any turnovers, and leave it in your defense's hands to win it for you.
Well, I don't think that the Auburn football team is taking on Pat Dye's personality. I really don't think it's done that. Possibly he has so many athletes who are so good that he might have just let up on them or whatever he will, but not gotten his personality onto that football team. I know Pat Dye, tough guy, hard-nosed, and he just didn't adopt his personality.
This Alabama defense has certainly taken on the personality of Bill Oliver. Brother Bill, as they call him, has come in and really a conservative coach, if you will. Not a whole lot of fancy footwork as far as strategy, that sort of thing. He relies on the 3-man rushing, they have really come on. They haven't a lot of touchdown now in 15 quarters, and it looks like it'll move on to 16.
You know, one thing that Alabama's defense this year, we're saying they're calling a penalty on Alabama's defense. But one thing this year's defense for Alabama is doing that is so different than what they've done in the past 3 or 4 years is they don't gamble. Like you say, they rush those 3 guys. They don't let a guy like Keith McCants, who in last year's defensive scheme was pretty much free to do whatever he wanted to. The coaches, Bill Oliver, Mike Dubose, Ellis Johnson, they teach a team concept in defense. Everybody's got a responsibility, and it's been real successful this year for Alabama.
1st and 10 for LSU from the 46. In at quarterback is Saul Graves again. Saul is the senior. And it looked like a pretty good pass. Ricardo Washington just couldn't hold on.
The defense they're playing now is the kind of defense that prevents long runs and long passes.
Exactly.
And you don't have 33 and 35 points scored against you when people don't get long runs and long passes.
Which you do when you gamble a lot. Last year, Alabama's defense, while it was a good defense, had a tendency to give up the big play.
Graves back to pass. And incomplete. Barring an LSU touchdown, let's look ahead 4 minutes now and say they don't score a touchdown. The streak goes to 16. Next week, Cincinnati will come into Birmingham, and they're 1-9. Not a very good football team. Maybe it looks like a pretty good chance the streak will continue to 20. So going to the Auburn game, the defense could have a streak of 20 quarters without allowing a touchdown. That boggles the mind this day and age of offensive football.
It really does, Joe. Like Coach Oliver mentioned, it's just incredible in this modern age of football that a defense can keep another team's offense out of the end zone.
Oh, my. The big lineman gets a chance to run, and big George Thornton left a part of Saul Graves into the turf.
And you can't say enough good things about Alabama's defense. I know we've just gone on and on about them today, but anytime you have a defense that week in and week out is going to hold the offense to 3 or 7 points, you've got a chance to win. George Thornton all over Saul Graves. The offensive lineman comes up with the reception. but it was short of a first down.
Saul got shaken up, understandably so. That's 300 pounds of full force coming right down on top of him. Griffith, another punt. Chris will let that one bounce. And LSU downs at about the 8-yard line. 3:17 to go.
I think it's safe to say now that Alabama is a bowl caliber football team. We don't know what bowl yet, Liberty Bowl being mentioned. There's one particular bowl interested in Alabama, but I don't think yet we know which one, but obviously they're a bowl caliber football team.
No question about that. Several bowl scouts here today. Like Scott said, the Liberty, the All-American Bowl in Birmingham is here. Scott Eater at quarterback, hands off to Junior Sewell. All sorts of new faces in there for Alabama. We'll mention just some of them. Charlie Dare is getting a chance to play now. Number 60, Tim Matheny is in at left guard for Alabama. Johnny Howard at right tackle. Good shot of Scott Eater, quarterback from Lexington, Kentucky. He's a transfer. Junior Sewell, pitch back to Irving Spikes. A lot of folks have been asking, where's Irving Spikes? He was a highly sought after recruit, and there he is right there getting a chance to play. Derek Warren is in at tight end, sophomore from Pensacola. Trying to mention some names we haven't mentioned all season.
It'll be interesting to see what Gene Stallings does if Alabama punts on this series with LSU maybe having a minute or so to score. Will he put the first team defense back in to preserve that scoreless streak?
What a stat.
That's a great stat, holding LSU's offense to 62 yards rushing.
And we should mention the center, a young man who never gets any publicity, Toby Shields. Irving Spikes gets brought down.
I'm glad you mentioned Toby Shields. I can throw a rock to his house from mine.
Is that right?
Lake Forest.
Toby Shields. He will replace Roger Schultz, I guess. Roger's been the old fixture at center, and once he graduates after this season, Toby Shields appears to be the man who will take over.
Alabama to punt here. Now, what will Gene Stallings do? Will he put his first team back in, Ricky?
I think we'll see maybe some of the frontline guys, but I bet he puts some of the second group in there and gives them a chance to play here late in the game.
Breaking free, number 27, Vincent Fuller, and he's brought down at about the 13-yard line. So,
looks like the first group coming back in with some of the second guys.
1:37 to go, and there's still a little drama. Will the streak continue? Listen to the crowd. They want it to continue.
See, nice return there, just taking it right up the middle. A couple of missed tackles, gets to the sidelines, takes the ball all the way down to the Alabama 15-yard line, and that's where LSU will start.
First and 10 from the 15. Chris Mook in at quarterback. He's the young man who threw the interception earlier to Spencer Hammond. Incomplete pass. Second down.
Looks like he has to back up defensive front end with the first team secondary and linebackers.
Right, we see Jeremy Nunley, number 73, along with Gregory, number 98. He's the freshman from Missouri. Trying to pick up the...
Irvin Collier's in there, Rick.
Irvin Collier from Jacksonville, also another freshman.
So you're right, the line is the second string line. First string backers and defensive backs. Mook, Chris Mook. Incomplete. Stacey Harrison playing to the crowd.
One thing that's so exciting in watching this Alabama defense play is the way they really throw themselves at the ball. Watch Stacey Harrison. He's number one. He's going to come from back in the inside, just throwing himself at the football.
Both he and Lorenzo Ward there.
Third and 10 from the 15, 1:29 on the clock. Mook will be back to pass, and you better believe they'll try to get on fourth if they don't make it here. End zone. Back goal! Wow. George Teague. The crowd wants this streak to continue.
They really do, and these guys are taking a lot of pride in it. Here the score is 24-3, but they want to keep them out of the end zone. We see Moot dropping. He's throwing just a lob down to the corner. Teague gets up, gets his hand on the ball, knocks it away. Just a great defensive play.
4th down and 10 from the 15.
Listen to this crowd.
The streak is now 16 quarters, and it looks like it'll stay that way. The crowd is on their feet.
I tell you, you just can't say enough about the Alabama defensive team and the offense and what the coaches have accomplished. That time it was completed. Teague was there to make the tackle if the receiver doesn't slip down short of the first down. Great defensive stand after a long punt return.
Derek Pope slipped down for LSU.
See Danny Woodson in at quarterback.
The crowd getting into a chant of Roll Tide. Let's see if we can pick it up.
You know, Alabama's coaches and players, they just got to be looking back and wondering, what if? What if? You look at those first 3 ball games and the game over at Georgia, the come from behind loss, or take that away or take the block punt away. Against Florida, and Alabama's right at the top of the SEC standing.
Alabama 8 points from being undefeated.
Irving Spikes takes it out of bounds. Did you see Gary Hollingsworth amidst the defensive huddle over there, slapping everyone?
I hope he was giving him a kiss. They deserve it.
Well, that's one thing I tell you, when you play as a team, and that's what this Alabama's team has done all year, is they've played as a team. One guy may not have a good game one week, but they're pulling together. And win, lose, or draw, you just got to respect that. And a lot of the credit has to go to the Alabama coaching staff for keeping everybody together here in those first 3 weeks.
Well, that's Alabama football.
Craig Harris gets his first carry of his career at the University of Alabama, a sophomore from Jacksonville, Florida. As the clock ticks down, the crowd celebrates.
Got to wonder what's going through Mike Archer's mind right now. A man on a hot seat down in Baton Rouge.
The final 24-3, and for the first time since he arrived at Tuscaloosa, Gene Stallings can look back and say, I'm over 500. 5 victories, 4 defeats. Mike Archer goes to 4-5. And I think we have to look back. The Tank Williamson punt, a key, you mentioned that. And
Absolutely.
then the questionable call when Mike Archer, running off the field here, inserts Chris Moot, a junior quarterback who hadn't played all season. And his third play from scrimmage, he throws the interception to Spencer Hampton.
Well, I'm not sure the way the Alabama defense played all day. I'm not sure that whoever was playing quarterback for LSU would have had any chance of winning a football game for LSU. The Alabama defense just continued to get better and better as the game went along.
Let's go down to Mike Darbley, who has one of the stars of the game.
Standing by with me is Stacey Harrison, one of the stars of the defense. You guys, you kept him out of the end zone again. The streak continued.
Well, this is the 4th week, and that's something that the defense is practicing. We're holding teams to only 3 and 6 points, no touchdowns in 4 straight games. I think that's a great compliment to the Alabama defense.
What about this win? Now you guys can start thinking about going bowling.
Well, that's true, but we got one thing on our mind. That's Cincinnati. We're not really concerned with the bowl. They're going to do that. That's up to them. Right now, we want to concentrate on Cincinnati.
He's excited. And did you hear the Auburn score? What's your reaction?
Well, I heard it, but I'd like the score that's on the Alabama scoreboard, 24-3 over LSU.
Good enough, Stacy. Thanks a lot. Congratulations. All right, guys, we'll send it back to you upstairs.
Okay, Mike Dubberly, thank you very much. You know, Stacy shouldn't feel bad because I felt that way many times being tongue-tied during sportscast and that sort of thing.
Especially after you spent about 60 minutes down on the football field running up and down. But Stacey Harrison and the Alabama defense, they just got to be tickled to death at the effort that they put forth today, holding LSU to only 3 points.
What about the offense, though? Still not clicking on all cylinders, the passing game, but running quite effective. What was it, 245 yards?
Well, the best thing I saw today was the Alabama offensive line coming off the football. They had their tails down low. You saw a lot of LSU helmets up in the air with Alabama helmets underneath them, in their armpits, under their chins. And I like that. The Alabama offensive line, like the Alabama defense, beginning to improve every week.
And one thing about the Alabama offense I think that is a key is if you'll notice Alabama had no turnovers today and they had very few penalties. I know there was maybe a late hold or there was an offsides, but looking back really when it counted, when the game was close, Alabama's offense just wasn't making mistakes. And if they can do that, this Alabama defense is going to keep them in a ball game.
Well, Gene Stallings believes in teaching. He's a fundamental type guy, technique, be in the right place, do the right thing, no penalties, play your position, etc. And you can see that's beginning to take a hold on both sides of the ball and the kicking game.
That's right.
That's exactly what happened today. They stayed in their place, very conservative, and they won 24-3. It worked perfectly today.
It really did in a close game like this. And LSU's got a good football team. Their offense was not very explosive. They've got the great running back in Harvey Williams. And a key to Alabama's game plan had to be we have to stop Harvey Williams. And they did that. And plus, Alabama's defense came in, made some big plays, forced some turnovers. The early drive when LSU's down inside the 5-yard line, they force a fumble. Then later in the third quarter, they come up with an interception by Spencer Hammond for 6 points.
We were here for the Penn State game. It was 9-0, a terrible game. The crowd left with 8 minutes to go. Everyone was down, very quiet. Boy, was the excitement here today or what? That defense has really picked up everyone's spirits, and this was like, you keep saying Alabama football. The electricity was here today. No question.
It really was. Alabama's 5-4. And just for an outsider maybe to sit and look at what's been accomplished this season, a lot of people might think, well, that's a terrible year for Alabama. But if you stop and you look at the key people that Alabama lost early in the season, you lose a Saran Stacy, who is one of the greatest running backs in the SEC last year. You lose Craig Sanderson and Prince Wembley. Not only do you lose those guys as starters, but you really just do away with a lot of the timing that your offense has spent August and early September in working to put together. And so with all that having happened, I think the Alabama coaches and players are really to be commended for a job well done.
Let's look at some statistics. The final stats for the day. You'll see the rushing, 271 to 61. The offensive line was taking some heat a couple of weeks ago. Scott, it's come on.
Certainly has. Turnovers, LSU with 1, Alabama with a big egg up there. And I like that turnover ratio. Look at the time of possession. And, of course, that reflects on the running game. 33 minutes over LSU's 27, 26-59.
Yeah, it was 2 turnovers,
I believe.
The fumble early. Right, and the interception.
And I think what's interesting also is last year Alabama pretty much lived by the pass. I mean, they had a lot of running production out of Saran Stacy, but Gary Hollingsworth really moved the ball around a lot, and I think it's a credit to Gary. He's satisfied with Alabama winning, and he's not a selfish player. 42 yards, that's not a whole lot for him in a day's work, but it's a win, it's a W on the board, and I know he's satisfied with that.
Well, I told Gary, one of the smartest games, when he looks back on his career 20 years from now, one of the smartest games he ever played was up at Tennessee when he played a safe, conservative game, didn't try to play the other game. Today, he played the same type game, a safe, conservative, smart game. Didn't throw anything away.
That's right.
Well, that wraps it up. What else needs to be said? An impressive victory, 24-3. Next week at Cincinnati, it looks like the Tide will go 6-4, and the Tide looks like they will go bowling this year somewhere. For Ricky Davis, Scott Hunter, I'm Doug Bell. Take care, everyone. The final again, Alabama 24 and the Tigers of LSU 3.
Welcome to University of Alabama football with Gene Stallings. Brought to you by Golden Flake Snack Foods. One taste and you're stuck on Golden Flake. By Coca-Cola and your local Coca-Cola bottler. Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the feeling. By Lakes Meats. When it's Lakes, it's gone. By AmSouth. Our people make life more rewarding. By Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama, the caring company. And by 10K Thirst Quencher. Finally, a thirst quencher that actually tastes great.
We're in the Alabama locker room, and with Coach Gene Stallings. Coach, congratulations. What a great victory for everybody. And it was a complete team effort.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was just a beautiful game, really. It was a game that we had to win. That's what college football is all about. They needed it as badly as we did. 9 years in a row, the visiting team has always won this game. We played well. There were times we sputtered early, but we got things rolling. Defensively, again, we didn't allow a touchdown. And the defense scored a touchdown. We made some good things in the kicking game. And so, I just couldn't be happy.
Well, welcome again to the Coach Gene Stallings Show. And, Coach, I think you and Doug certainly showed your emotions about the great game yesterday, and I'd just like to congratulate you and the kids on the team. It was wonderful.
Well, it was a Super Bowl game, one we had to win, and we won it, and I can't say enough good things about the players and the coaches. I just think it was a great team effort, and we needed it.
Well, we're going to go to the film right now and take a look at things. They saluted the team of the decade, and you see Athletic Director Hootie Ingram accepting the award from Bill Lumpkin of the Birmingham Post-Herald, and those are the players who were saluted. And, of course, the players of the decade were Derek Thomas, Bobby Humphrey, and Cornelius Bennett, three truly household words around Alabama.
Yeah, I tell you what, they're great players, and they're continuing to play well. And hopefully we can find us something like that in the next
Absolutely.
Year. So
just mentioned, too, the great $1 Million Band. They put on another wonderful performance, Bill.
Here we are getting so beautiful day. I worried about it all night. It rained during the night, and the practice Friday was bad. But here we are getting the game started. And we started off rather slow. Well, they kicked the ball into the end zone, and we elect not to bring it out, thank goodness. We sort of... We might have brought that out earlier in the year, but here we start out with what we call a T-pull play that looked good in practice all week, but we didn't make anything on that particular play. Now we're running the screen pass, and I think the entire first quarter we only made one first down, and they made like 9.
They sure did.
We just, it was a slow start for us, and I felt like going into the game that it was important that we start strong and not give LSU anything to get excited about, and we didn't do it at all. Here they are sort of starting the ball game with a pass, and the very first play of the game, Spencer Hammond making the tackle, of course, later on makes the interception for a touchdown. I thought our defense just continued to play well. In fact, that's one of the few times he got outside of Steve Webb, and he made several big plays during the game. Well, that's a great play right here. Man, I looked at it over and over to see who caused that fumble, and I don't really know whether it was Derek Oden, John Sullins, Eric Curry. They all hit him, and of course,
Stacey Harrison got it.
Stacey got it, but I tell you, that was a great play. The defense was just determined not to let them score, and boy, was I glad to see that ball pop out.
Yes, sir. Stacey's front line, of course.
There is running the football, and again, our halfback. And here we start, I thought we were going to complete this pass,
I
right?
did, too.
Man, it was, we needed. We were going into the wind, and we thought we could possibly get behind him, and we did. That's a nice play by John Sullins. But nevertheless, it was just a long, incompleted pass. Here we had a little mix-up. This is one of the few times during the ball game that we had a mix-up on who was covering who. And anyway, we finally held them, but they did kick a field goal. And football team now has gone 4 games without giving up a touchdown. In modern-day football, that's hard to do.
That's a great job. It's 3-0 LSU at the end of the first quarter of play, and we'll be back with all the action in the second quarter after these messages. Well, there was a pretty good breeze at Bryant-Denny Stadium yesterday, Coach, and now we're going to be operating with it.
Well, yeah, it was a bad first quarter for us, so it was the first time that we let them keep the ball on us, and then we just couldn't do anything with it. Second quarter was a whole lot better. It was all in our favor. Nice play right there with Byron. Visited with his mother a little bit after the ball game. They had sort of a mishandled ball. I think they snapped it before they were ready and forced them into a long yardage situation. And now we're going to get the ball in pretty good field position. Excellent return here by Chris Anderson. And we got 2 or 3 good blocks. You see their punter averaged 44, 45 yards and really did a nice job kicking that ball. Maskey Hall getting that last block, and he gets the ball back, and at least now we've got some field position.
28-yard return for Chris.
Yeah, here we're tossing it back, and Robert Jones is a good, tough, hard runner. You notice we went for a 4th down twice and made it both times, and Robert carried the ball. He really does a good job. Here's Chris Anderson taking it for a touchdown, and this is an excellent play. I hope they have a rerun of this particular one. This is the same play we opened the ball game up with. The fullback blocks down, guard and tackle kicks out, and he hits that seam, and it was good blocking at the point of attack, and Chris has excellent speed anyway. You can see he just runs off. He's had several long plays that's been called back this year.
He sure has.
Or he would have a lot of yardage.
That's the second straight game Chris got 100 yards, over 100 yards.
Kick the extra point now. We had 7-3, and I'm feeling a little bit better, not a whole lot better, though.
I'm feeling better, but like you say, not a whole lot.
Yeah, boy, it's our defense is really swarming, and several times in this particular game when we caused them to fumble that we weren't able to get it, but at least we were after them. Here, another excellent play there by George Thornton. George made 2 or 3 really key plays in the game, as did Robert Stewart and Eric Curry. Fine play right there also. Here we're all running. This Derek Lassick, who was injured earlier in the year. You know, he was starting for us, and he was injured, missed a game. So this 4th down play, when you give it to Robert Jones running behind Chapman and those people, you've got a pretty good chance of making it.
The odds are with you.
Oh, I thought we was going to, well, no, this is the one he throws it in to Lamont Hammond. A little bit later, I thought Lamont was going to catch one for a touchdown.
Robert Jones?
Yeah, Robert's carrying that ball again.
And here's a rare sight.
Yeah.
Ball missing.
He pulled it a little bit, but the turf was slicky, and I think he was concerned about that. And in fact, I know he was. And in fact, we were talking a little before the game was over, and he said, you know, if it looks like we're going to need a long field goal, we need to do it from the middle of the field where it's dry.
So at the half, Alabama leads 7-3. You know, all over the country, walk-ons are an integral part of a lot of football programs. And at the University of Alabama, the young men, the walk-ons, they're trying to prove themselves on the field, but very much in the classroom as well. Dean Tanner has a story.
Meet John Tomlinson. He's working hard this fall on the practice field, trying to earn a scholarship as a walk-on quarterback on the Crimson Tide football team. Now meet John's older brother, Tommy. Tommy is a walk-on too, but he's already earned his scholarship, not for his performance on the field, but for his performance in the classroom. Tommy is one of 8 UA students who earned academic walk-on scholarships this year. The academic walk-on program is sponsored by the university's National Alumni Association and is designed to reward students who excel in the classroom after a couple years of college.
Many students who come to the university are good students in high school, but maybe not quite good enough to earn a scholarship. With the academic walk-on scholarship program, they can come to the university, make good grades, and earn a scholarship, much like an athlete earns a scholarship when he walks on the football field.
Academic walk-ons earn scholarships by attaining a grade point average of 3.8 over at least 3 semesters at the university. Interestingly, much of the money earmarked for the scholarships comes from Player of the Game awards given in the name of star athletes like Bama quarterback Gary Hollingsworth.
It can help, by what little I do on the field can generate money and help someone. I think it's a great idea.
But to Tommy Tomlinson, a little financial help is always welcome, no matter where it comes from.
And it was through the academic walk-on scholarship that I'm able to be back here this year to finish up my last 2 semesters and hopefully, you know, enter medical school next fall.
And who knows, maybe someday this Tomlinson can win an award that will help another student like this Tomlinson make it through college. In Tuscaloosa, I'm Dean Tanner reporting.
So as we go into the third quarter, Coach Stallings, you had to make a decision. LSU deferred, and so they chose at the half, and you had to make a decision.
Yeah, they really did. We gave them the ball and the win starting the third quarter, which would give us a win the fourth quarter. And Mike Dubose, which I think was a good decision, he said, you know, if we can hold them the third quarter and everything's equal, the fourth quarter, maybe a long field goal may be important. And I'm glad that we made that decision because we not only got a point right at the end of the quarter, but we held them without giving up anything, and it turned out to be a good decision for us.
Let's go on back to the film and take a look at action from the third quarter.
Yeah, we opened up the game kicking it off, and our coverage most of the time was pretty good, but this time he gets the ball on out a little bit further. We missed a tackle right there, and he gets the ball about the 43 or 44-yard line, and it's not the way to start the third quarter, you know, especially when they've got the wind also. But as usual, our defense rose the K. I thought we were going to intercept this ball right here. George had his eye on it, but I guess as he turned around, he lost it momentarily. They ran a trap play right here, well executed play on their part, and we were rushing the passer, but anyway, we held them. They're just tough running. We went on first sound play on that particular. That's Kevin Turner, and anytime he carries it, he's gonna run hard. Here we're throwing a screen, and they were in man-to-man coverage, and their linebacker had us covered, and we just threw the ball down. 67-yard punt right here, end of the wind.
That was a thing of beauty.
It may be the key play of the game for us. He kicked that ball actually he was about on the 20-yard line, and that was a beautiful kick, because now they got it on about the 3 or the 4. Now, we will never know how big that particular play was. Our defense was swarming now. They're just not giving them any air at all.
Bowden and Stewart leading the way, but everybody, as you said, them around.
Yeah, just all around them, and here they are pressuring them again, getting another trap, and Eric Curry, for having been out for a while, is coming back, and he's playing. Here we're running the flea flicker play, and we get this pass intercepted. It's we were sort of waiting for it to come down, and usually Lamont will have a chance to make that play, but it's underthrown just a little bit. Good pressure right there by Steve, and we had him pretty well covered. Might have should have saved that play for when we were with the wind, rather than, oh boy, man, I really thought that Charlie Gardner was going to intercept that one for a touchdown.
It looked like he had an avenue just
studying again earlier this morning. It was he'd like to have that one back. Took his eye off the ball just momentarily. Here we are. It looks like it's going to be a toss play, but he breaks it back to the inside, and that's the way it's designed. And Robert's going to get you 4 or 5 practically every time he carries the ball. Good, tough running. We went on the 4th down every time, with the exception of down here, and I felt like we need to come away with points. That ends up the third quarter, and beginning of the fourth quarter, we're going to at least go ahead by 7.
So that Alabama's still leading by 7-3, but as Coach Stallings indicated, the fourth quarter had plenty of action, good Alabama action,
sure
I might
did,
add. And we'll be back to take a look at that right after these messages. All right, we're about ready to get back into fourth quarter action, Coach Stallings, on the last game in Tuscaloosa for the Tide this year, and the last game on AstroTurf down here.
Right, and I'm glad. I appreciate Hootie for going ahead and putting the grass in. It'll help us here. Here, Philip Doyle is every time he kicks one now, you know, he's really making the record books. He's an excellent kicker. Visited with his mother and dad just a little bit after the game. We had a lot of the parents here, and I always enjoy seeing them also. Gives me a chance to brag on the youngsters. Here, I thought the guy was giving a fair catch signal. He was waving his hand. I don't know what he was doing. Anyway, there was I think there was a penalty on that particular play, but I thought it was for. Great play right there with Spencer Hammond. Man. Had the quarterback would like to have that one back, but I'm glad he doesn't.
Spencer's a senior. I was so happy to see him get one.
And the seniors ended up winning there, and Bryant Denny had a good career here, and I was really pleased for them. The seniors have really meant a lot to this particular team. We have breakfast every Thursday morning, and it's something I really look forward to. Just the seniors, myself, and we talk about things that we need to discuss. Here we're kicking the ball out of the end zone, and we were offsides on this particular play, and we have to kick it over, and it's a difference in 28 yards.
That's right.
Yeah, we can't afford to do that. Here we are knocking the ball out of his hand, and they recovered. They fumbled several times. We got one of them. I thought we had a chance. Here, he just runs a quarterback draw. We were in man-to-man coverage, and it's a pretty good play on their part. Just so happens it didn't make first down.
Oh, got the ball back.
Yeah, here with Chris Anderson's run, we get a holding penalty right here. Balls to me, how they can always. Here we are throwing that. Looked to me like that's holding. I'm not officiating. So here we are kicking the ball, and we get a roughing the kicker penalty, and I was glad to see that because they've got the ball on the 35. But as it is, 2 plays later we score, and this really sort of puts it. It shows the that's great running right there with Junior Sewell. Who's going to be a good player.
He's coming on.
Yeah, this is an OT play, and I tried to talk Mal into just running a little old short play, and he made this particular call, and I thought it was a great call. Great run, too. There he is, Chris Anderson, putting that thing into the end zone.
A true freshman from Huntsville, the diminutive dynamo.
Good blocking at the point of attack. This is excellent. I wish you could show the blockers. Not able to get it, but only one guy, the offside linebacker, is the only person that had a chance to get him. Kevin Turner on that particular play got a great block. Their guards and tackles as they led. It was a well-executed play. That's what we need, some long runs for touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
Makes fourth quarter a whole lot more fun. Oh, Robert Stewart, he sort of faked one way and went around that center. I mean, fast. Robert's really playing well for us. So his wife and little girl, there's Derek Lassick. He's got speed. He's dangerous. If we can just keep him well.
Trying to get his sea legs back, Coach.
We missed a little. I'm sorry we missed the last 4 plays. Our defense just wasn't going to let them score, and I was really proud of that.
To give you a little quick recap, LSU returned to punt to the 15, so they had 4 cracks at us from the 15-yard line, and the defense flat slammed the door.
That's on 15 when it's over. Yeah.
All right. As we do each week, we'd like for you to meet some of the young men who wear the Crimson, and we'll go to these interviews right now.
Yeah, I feel we're all the special teams, defense, offensively, we're coming around and get a little more confident with each game, and we just keep working every week, trying to get better at every phase of the game, just to get more confident.
Yeah, it makes me feel a whole lot better. The purpose of our defense, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to dominate, the line of scrimmage up front. We're going to play for 60 minutes. We're going to out-hit them. We're going to out-hustle them. We're either going to win it up front or we're going to lose it up front. That's our defensive philosophy.
Well, on a particular play, we had just made an adjustment on the sideline. They had been giving us that formation, all during the game, and it had been giving us some trouble. We had trouble containing the play on the run, but like I said, we made an adjustment that we wanted to keep the second receiver from being a hot receiver for the quarterback to hit, and I was playing the curl zone, and I was just basically there just to keep him from hitting that guy real quick, and the guy ran by me, and when I turned back inside to see where the quarterback was looking, he just made a mistake and just threw the ball right to me, and I just took it on in for the score.
Well, we enjoyed hearing those comments there, and Spencer Hammond was a happy young man, Coach.
Well, he should be, because, he's a senior. He made a play, and, football games are won with football players making plays, and, hey, that's a big play, just like Tank. Kicking that thing 67 yards, hey, that's a big play, man.
And Robert Stewart from Ashford, Alabama, he's made a bunch of them himself.
I think he's going to be an outstanding football player next year. He's a good football player now, and he's getting better and better. And as we said a little bit earlier, I was pleased for the seniors. They take it in their career here in Tuscaloosa, winning a game, a good game. It's anytime you can beat LSU, you're doing something right.
You've done a good job. I tell you what, too, I'd like to say my own thanks to the team after losing the first 3, to come back the way this team has done, and 5-4 now, congratulations to you, Coach, and congratulations to your whole staff and
The
players.
staff has done an excellent job. I'm proud of it.
We'll see you next week to recap the Alabama-Cincinnati game. Thank you.
The Crimson Tide was ready to continue some streaks and was ready to end some other streaks. The home team had not won the Alabama-LSU game since 1980. That streak would end today. It looked like the Tide's defensive streak of no touchdowns in the last 12 quarters would end as well until Harvey Williams coughed up the football and Bama recovered. The big plays would continue as Byron Holbrooks makes his presence known, and Chris Anderson returns a punt 28 yards. Then scores his first touchdown of the season on this 30-yard dash. That gave Alabama the lead at 7-3, and they would never look back. Defensive end George Thornton puts the screws on the LSU quarterback, and punter Tank Williamson continued his good work in booting a career-long 67-yard punt. Poor field position would cost the Tigers dearly as linebacker Spencer Hammond intercepted this pass and walked into the end zone. Alabama led 17-3, but they weren't finished yet. Chris Anderson would record his second touchdown of the day as he raced 46 yards for the score. Anderson netted 116 yards, his best day wearing the crimson and white. With this sack, Robert Stewart closed the book on LSU, and for the 16th consecutive quarter, the Tide defense had not allowed a touchdown. Bama had won 2 in a row with the 24-3 victory over the Bayou Bengals and improved their record to 5-4.